always say this, and people always hate when I say it, but I say it anyway. God has not called us to be capital P providers, but lowercase p providers, which looks like more like stewardship. Capital P provider that God is the God that supplies all needs. We wear that burden because we think as men, our job is to supply all needs. We can't supply all needs. We lean on God who knows our wives and our children better than we can, who loves our wives and our children better than we can, and who also loves us. And so that ultimate provider role that we try to carry, that's God's role. One, first of all, it crushes you because you don't know enough. You don't have enough to be able. If your job stops giving you a check, do you lose your manhood because in that week, that month, that 3 months when you're on unemployment, you cannot provide as sufficiently? So do you lose your manness? Do you lose your manhood?
Hi, I'm Clarissa from Love Fearlessly. I want to tell you about the products we create with faith and purpose in mind. At Love Fearlessly, we design biblical affirmation cards, journals, and wall art to encourage you and keep God's promises front and center in your life. These are more than just beautiful items, they're tools to help you stay rooted in scripture, speak life over yourself, and create an atmosphere of faith in your home. Whether you're starting your day with affirmations, journaling your prayers, or decorating your space with God's truths, our products are here to remind you that His love and promises never fail. So if you're ready to bring more faith and encouragement into your daily life, check us out. At Love Fearlessly, we're here to help you live boldly in God's love.
What's up, Brave Hearts community? This is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach, back with another segment of It's Scary to Remarry, inspiring you to love fearlessly. Today's episode is going to be an amazing episode. I'm excited about today's segment. I'm just going to introduce you to today's guest because you're in for a treat because I want to honor his time. Today's guest is son of Nigerian immigrants. Our guest is no stranger to making the most of what is given to him. Currently, he is amongst the top and most demanded Christian spoken artists in the world. In 2015, he founded the Poets in Autumn Tour, the largest poetry tour in history. He has captivated many with raw and honest approach to topics that focus on healing for relationships. In 2020, he authored The Whole Man, which blessed many men with vivid insight on growth in Christ as a kingdom man. He leads Bands of Brothers International, a community that engages men with discipleship. In 2024, he launched a quickly growing We Need to Talk podcast, one of my favorites, which seeks to tackle the most taboo topics in the faith. As a husband and father of five, today's guest strives to exude his passion for Christ and love people through his gift with words. Brave Arts community, let's show some love to Ezekiel and Zawu. How are you doing this evening?
You did your best on the Azanwu, man. Man, all good, man. Thank you for having me on. I love the content you put out, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I am excited because I want to discuss today with you about the challenges that men face today, especially in today's culture. And I know you are one of the leaders that we need to hear from, especially for men and even the younger generation that's behind us. So I want to ask, what do you think is the biggest challenge that men face today, and how can they overcome it?
And that's a huge question, and I don't think there's just one answer. But I can say within our culture and our framework, especially modern Western culture, and especially amongst Black men, it just seems to be taboo to even open our mouths and speak, to be vulnerable, to have safe spaces where we can be heard, for our feelings to be validated. There's so much that happens for the Black man, and that's nuanced for the Black man. There's so much that can be said, but just period, men have a hard time opening up and finding safe spaces. But it seems like for Black men, some of the hardships and nuanced hardships that are specific to us exacerbate that issue for us. So I believe that though the issue exists for men, possibly globally, culturally, on the Western side, and probably just globally, um, for the Black man in America, it feels like we have that weight times 10 because of the history that is drug along with it. So, man, there's a lot to deal with as it relates to men being able to open up, being willing to open up, finding safe space to do so, and then normalizing that those safe spaces to do so as well.
Yes, for sure. Because in today's culture, and we want to be heard, for men, right?
Yes.
It's especially from from our wives and stuff like that, and even to the men that we've been entrusted with. And I think it's important for us to talk about vulnerability and stuff too. Uh,
Yes. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. It's not that men aren't loud. Men are loud where they're applauded and they're validated. Men are loud where they are celebrated. And I believe there's like this one-dimensional perception of a man's value. And so we're boxed into we're provider, right? And that's how we prove our value. We are objects. I mean, we talk about women being objectified as sex objects, and to an extent, men somehow being in the streets long enough, they find their value in how they're able to lay it down with women in the bed. And so they find their value in that respect. And so they're devalued in other areas. They're booed on other platforms and celebrated in particular platforms. So you wonder why they're drawn to places where they can find the little bit of value they can. So when they do open up and say, I feel weak here, or I don't understand here, I'm confused here, or I need to grow here, they don't feel it's a safe space to even be able to express that. So they bottle that in and run to the areas where they are applauded.
mhm. Yeah, and that's so much to unpack. Oh my God, that is great because I know for me, uh, growing up, like I didn't have a voice.
Yeah.
I grew up in that era of where children were seen and not heard.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know,
sir. Yeah.
uh, so I got to a place where once I was able to use my voice, especially in the Christian world, I just knew that's where I was valued.
Wow. Wow.
You know
Wow.
what I'm saying?
That's good that you said it like that. You knew that that's where you were valued, but it's valued in a particular way. So as long as you're doing the right churchy thing, then maybe you're valued. But once you take the cape off, are you valued as Clark? It's okay to be valued if you know your word and you're able to teach and you're able to present a certain way. But what about the skeletons? Where do you unload the skeletons?
So good. Ooh, wait. Ooh, so I think it's important that we have someone who we can talk to and, like you say, take off the cape.
Yes.
Because oh my God, very few people can handle taking off the cape.
Very few people can handle what the man without the cape really means for them, because that man without the cape is often not as useful to people. And when a man is not useful, he's as good as being thrown away, or those people that are willing to pour in to Clark, because when he's Clark, he can't save you. And who wants to deal with a man that can't save them in that moment? And who's willing to uphold a man when at that moment he needs support? He needs to be heard. He needs to be valued. We only want Superman because Superman is there as a tool to help us when we need him. But when the cape comes off, then all he is Clark, and he no longer possesses the value to help us. And so he's discarded and overlooked and dismissed. And men, oftentimes, in most settings, they are fighting Clark, or they deny Clark, or they're silent as Clark, and they run to the spaces where they feel like Superman. So if they feel like Superman standing on the ground with money by their ear, then
With the
they're gonna
money
be
phone.
that money phone. They're gonna be Superman in that respect. If it's just showing their bodies, if it's having as many women as they're gonna be Superman with their boys. They're gonna find a way where they can Superman where women are calling their name in different respects. We get real with it. In those moments that they're Superman, but when they take off the cape and they're Clark, no, they're no longer valuable. But truly, that's who they are. And in Superman's case, it's a little bit different because he actually had powers, but it's kind of the reverse for us because truly, what we pose and what we present is really a very small facet. Yes, we're strong. Yes, we have a lot to offer, But what about when we need to be offered something? Or would we be welcome if all we had to offer was the brokenness in those moments, was our past and the trauma that needs to be kind of dealt with? Is an ear. If all we can offer is our story, would you be willing to give an ear? And so that's kind of the challenge for us as men, for each other, for women that find themselves in that respect, parents, and for all of us as a community.
Now, when you talked about taking off the cape, I mean, I think that was a phenomenal example, and very few of us can handle that. There was a post that I shared on social media, and it went crazy, and people were looking at me sideways when I said it. So I get opportunity to explain it. I said, women want men who's a protector, but as a man, we've never been protected.
Oh, that's good.
It-
That's good.
you know, so
That's
it's
good.
like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's hard to emulate what you haven't seen.
That's so good. That's
So
so good.
so I'm like, if you grew up as a young boy and you were never protected, and you get older and a woman's like, hey, I want to protect her, like how does he know what that look like? Does he just go around knocking guys out
Come on.
to prove that he's a protector?
That's good.
Because there's more than one way that you can protect someone, not just physically. And we think about that as default about just laying hands, but there's so much more
Right.
protection. What are your thoughts on that?
That's so good. And I think, yeah, that's a really, really good conversation to uncover because I do think it has to be seen, it has to be experienced. They have to have saw their father protecting their mother in the myriad of ways that protection could look like, and not just look like a lack of self-control when it comes to their emotions, because that could be what some people think like, hey, if somebody looks at me wrong, I want you to risk your life and your freedom for me. Like, but at the same time is willing to abuse you, abuse you.
Mm.
And so verbally and physically. And so what does protection even look like? And for those particular women, what should it look like? That's another question. What should protection look like? And I think a man that properly protects his woman is a man that understands her value and protects her value in every space that he has the capacity to. That also means emotionally. And I think one, there just needs to be a level of grace for us as a culture and a community as we step into these conversations, as some of us men learn how to do that, because some of this stuff is not instinctive. Just like the point that you brought up, like these are children that just added years to themselves, and they took, what they got as children. And if there's no one who came to intervene and bring a challenge to their previous original instinctive thinking, then they're gonna just do what they think. And I think to demand from an empty well, to demand a gushing flow from an empty well is almost, is there's an injustice side to that. But then there also should be a beautiful challenge that says, hey, I want to see you flourish. I want to see you protect our family, but I'm willing to walk with you as you learn. I'm willing to walk with you as you become. As we become, I have grace for you to become in the process, which I think we should have for each other. And so I think that's a really powerful conversation. And I think a lot of people or women would look at that ideal like, why do we have to be Mrs. Build a Man? It's almost like, man, we are literally standing on the rubble of our community that has been torn down by external forces and now even by each other. If we're not willing to a certain extent have a level of grace for each other to become, then we're going to continue to burn the rubble that we're standing on. And so the best that we can do is offer a level of grace as we journey together and
Mm.
grow and become. So yeah, man, really important conversation.
Yes, for sure. Because there are some women who might have had protection growing up, whether that was a father or uncle, cousins.
Yep.
But the other side of that is women who never been protected. So they might look for that super protector kind of guy, like you say, you're looking at my girl, that whole thing.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. They want somebody's head to be knocked off. They've never seen it, so they imagine it, and they want you to become their fairy tale. Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, it's not just them. It's all of us. We all fall victim to developing this fairy tale in our mind. I've never had it, and I'm gonna imagine something, and you're gonna fill those shoes.
And then mad at you when they find out that you're human.
Wow.
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 I was listening to uh Dr. Spirit. You know what Dr. Spirit is?
Yes. Yes. I've been tapped into it for a little while.
Man, I want to interview her so bad. But I remember her saying when she counseled couples, she asked them, "Are you willing to kill the fairy tale?
Wow.
Are you willing to die? Are you willing to kill what you thought that person would be?"
Mm,
You know, um, and when I
mm.
thought of that, there was a quote that I read that said, "In our minds, we have the picture of the perfect person, but we have one or two things to do with that. Either we accept the person and tear up the picture, or we accept the picture and tear up the person."
Woo. Mm.
So
Dang. Tear up the person is crazy. Ooh.
and it happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
We tear up
Yeah.
people all the time.
Yes.
Unfortunately, chasing that picture.
Yes. Man.
Oh my God.
Rude awakening when you step in and realize that they're human too. We don't want them to be human too. Man.
Yeah.
And I think deep down, it is this projection that we have because we really haven't tapped in. We don't have relationships with God. And so you have to be Superman because Jesus is not enough. You
Mm.
have to be Superman because I don't have faith enough in God to be what I'm demanding you to be. Like that's the only reason why people are utterly disappointed in other people is because you made them an idol. Like you made them what only God was supposed to be in your life. That's why you're crushed. Like once like you said, once you're able to accept that person, then I can't give grace to a person I thought was God because God doesn't need grace. And so there's the reason why there's a gracelessness is not because you got high standards, it's because no, you have idolized a human. There was no room for grace, there was no room for growth because they were God. Yeah, and so coming into that place, and it's not to say tolerate anything. No, it's this level of I'm coming with an expectation that I'm here on a journey. I have not come here to polish my reward at the finish line. I've come here and we getting it from the mud together. And I don't care what you presented. You could have had the six figures, you could have look like you had it all together. But I always tell women this. I don't know, we keep talking about women, we helping the sisters out. But I always tell women this. I don't care what a man is when he meets you. He could have all the things that you consider great. But until he meets you, there is still so much work to be done. Because if you are a woman of value, then there is something that he could potentially be lacking, or there is something beautiful that could come from you together that he has yet to know on his own. And so, if you want to come and sit and just give up once you meet this person, nah, this is the beginning of the work. If you haven't come in and accepted that, then you will be disappointed because the person that you thought was well put together and has arrived is missing the value of you. You make him better. You got to get that. And if you don't make him better, then it's not his problem. It's that you really don't have value. And I don't believe that. And so you might come into a situation saying, all right, like it's like how low of a perception do you have to have of yourself to think you're going to walk into a marriage situation or oneness situation and there is a man who you think has a lot going on and you're not about to change his life. If you're not about to change his life, then come back.
Mm, mm,
You
mm.
got to make them better. If you're not making them better, then where's your value? And I'm not saying what do you bring to the table. I mean your essence. I mean your spirit. I mean your wisdom. I mean your kindness. I mean your patience. I mean your femininity. And so, yeah, so much to say.
No, that's good because a lot of you hear a lot of women talk about, I'm tired. They've been in a lot of these relationships and I don't want to build a man anymore. I shouldn't have to build a bear kind of thing. And it's like because the thing is people and like we talked about with Jesus, right?
Yeah,
A lot of times we take Jesus off the throne and
yeah,
we put that person there.
yes, yep, that's it. Yep. And so they're tired. They're tired, and I get it. You're tired of being treated bad. You're tired. But when you finally, this is important. You get done so wrong. You get done so wrong. You get done so wrong. You get done wrong 100 times. The one person that is right, that's ready, that's the one you give up working for because you're tired of all the mess. And so I put down the shovel. I put down the tools, and I'm like, save me. It's like, no. So don't give all your energy to the ones that wasn't it. And then when finally the man comes who has he has everything but you. And then
Mm,
he's like, you want to lift up your hands and say, I'm done. Like, nah, let's work.
oh my God. Hey
Yeah.
man. And I'm glad you're saying that because I'm all off my notes.
Yeah, we deviated crazy.
Yeah. And that's the thing because and my mentor, he used to always tell me, say, Sean, great marriages aren't found, they're built. And we don't in this 2025 world, we don't believe in building brick by brick.
Only way. It's the only way.
It's the only way. And when we build something together, that
Come on.
brings us that much closer together because we like,
Oh,
babe, I was with you in the struggle, like
come on.
vice versa, man and
Yeah.
woman. You know what I'm saying? She was down here, so when you build them bricks and you look down and you like, man, look at what we built.
Yep.
And to be able to impact those along the way
Come
because
on.
we need community, right?
Yes.
So many people would do better. I believe marriages will even last longer if we were willing to build, but everybody want to
They want
bring.
the final product. We want the new construction. We don't want to we don't want no renovation. We don't want to build a brand new construction. We want it already built. We don't want. And so here's the thing: if it's already built, then you don't get to add the custom items. The beautiful part of building together is you get to customize. It's for you. Well, oh my gosh, I just thought about that. Like if the house is finalized when I get to it, I didn't have no input on the countertops, the flooring. That's somebody else's idea. So you want somebody to be finished with other people's love, consideration, and kindness. So when you come, you do what? You just borrowing? You got the leftovers? No, I want to contribute. I want to add to the recipe. I
Oh my,
don't know about you. I
that's a
want to
word.
add to the recipe. And that's how you can look at somebody and say, that's mine. Because literally, I invested in you.
Hmm. Oh my God. Yeah, and that is so good because so many people, like you say, not putting the investment in. And if they are a quote unquote finished product, why would they want you?
I'm about to walk off. Oh, come on.
You know what I'm saying? Why? They finished. They don't need you with your beautiful broken self.
That's real. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's
Yeah,
real.
man. Oh my God. There was a question. I guess we kind of went back. Jonathan, the life changer.
Okay.
We talked about this earlier. He said, I would argue that the cape should be on permanently when we talked about taking off and on the cape. He said, it depends on what behavior do you guys mean when, if we take off the cape.
Okay, so I think one perception of taking off the cape means stepping out of integrity and stepping out of
Mhm.
who God has called you to be. And that's not what we mean by taking off the cape.
Right.
I'm going to give you an example. So I'm considered a public figure, a minister, and all of those things. Everyone knows me as Ezekiel. Everyone knows me as Ezekiel. My wife is the only person that does not call me Ezekiel in my life. She calls me by my first name because that's how she met me. We met in school. And so when I come in the house, I'm not the Ezekiel that you see on a podcast. I'm not the Ezekiel that you see on the stages in front of those people. People celebrate that version of me, but that is a very small facet of who I truly am. They don't see my attitude when I don't want to do something. They don't see me at night when it's time to either pray or sleep. They don't see what I choose, what my decision I choose. They see my practice, polish, haircut version of myself, and they all snap it up and clap it up. That would be horrible if I had that in my house, because that's not true accountability. True accountability, my wife gets to see me in all facets, my good, my bad, and ugly. And so when I step inside the doors, I'm taking off my cape to be a husband, to be a father, to be the real me that's not always celebrated. And I won't be celebrated for my bad decisions, for my incompetence, for areas where I can thrive. When my wife sees I could go higher, I'm not going to be celebrated. I'm going to be challenged. And so in those areas, is it safe enough for me to be me so that I can be seen, not just held accountable, but I could be seen for the areas that I do need to grow, have great, and my wife has grace for those areas where I do need to grow, the places that I need healing, support, and prayer. I have to have my cape off for that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be prayed for, because you would think, pray for me. You see what I'm saying? Taking
Mm,
off the cape means I'm in position where I need. I'm in a position where I need support. I'm in position where I can be vulnerable. I can be weak. Hey, look, I feel unaccomplished. I feel
mm,
some of the effort that I've put in has not been seen. I feel like financially I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Can I take off the cape? Because on Instagram they're gonna celebrate it because I post the highlights. But this ain't a highlight reel in the house. I get to actually, you get to the 24-hour, the footage that you get on the surveillance camera is a lot more grainy, but it's a lot more real. It's not the highlight reel on Instagram. And so taking off the cape is the 24-hour surveillance. Can I trust you with the 24-hour surveillance? Will all I get is condemnation? Will I get ridicule? Will you throw it back in my face? Or will you praise, support, challenge, positively constructively criticize me, not diminish my value? And so there's so much to say in that, but I think if you perceive it as taking off the cape meaning stop being a man of God or stop being a man of integrity, that's not what we mean. It just means taking off the cape of the presented version of you versus the full version of you.
yes, I love that. That is so good. Yeah, and having a wife who can love you while the cape is off is just that much more beautiful, right? You know, so that's why she have the husband that she have, because she was in a position to have herself girded spiritually, where when you can take off the cape, she like, baby, I got you.
Hey, look, my wife is not a fan. She's my wife. Fans are there for when you hot.
Come on.
My wife wasn't there when I was hot. My wife was there when I was normal, when I was regular, when I wasn't celebrated, when my clothes was a little too big and she had to go shopping for me and say, hey, look, how about you do this? My wife is there when they wasn't rocking for me, when they wasn't looking for me. And so it's a beautiful thing to have someone who's with you when you're in practice mode, when you're still growing, when you're still learning, when they don't know your name, because you know that they're there not because your name was elevated, but they were there with you for the elevation process. It's a beautiful thing, man.
And y'all built a solid foundation. Why? Because y'all built brick by brick. She didn't meet you last week.
Nope.
You know what I'm
Nope.
saying? Like you said, you hot. Back in the days, they ain't want me now. You know what I'm saying?
Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm
You know,
telling you. I'm telling you, dog.
man.
And so many men, and that's just we're talking to the men now. The same idea we talk about women. Men also feel the pressure to become the finished product before they even begin looking for them. And it's just like, dude, like when I did a poll in like 2018. I said, man, why is it so hard to, settle down and find yourself someone? Most of the men said, because I got to get myself together. I got to build myself before I even start looking. And it's just like, there should be a level of responsibility. You should have a desire to provide. You should be on track. You should have vision. You should be pursuing that. And you shouldn't be lazy and all of those things. But to think that you want to be a multimillionaire, you want to have everything that you ever dreamed of then, because then your desire for your building partner would diminish because you thought you did it on your own. And now you won't need a wife. All you'll want is a concubine. You just want to, you just want something you want a
Mash and
tool.
dash.
Come
Yeah.
on, man.
Oh my God. That
Come
is so
on.
good. And that's the thing, because even when we think about the biblical perspective,
Yes.
woman is described in the feminine when you think about Proverbs, right?
That's good. That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Wisdom, she shouts from the streets. Like, it's in the
Good.
feminine. So you want a wise woman. My old pastor, he used to tell me, he used to say, don't make a decision unless there's a wise woman in the room.
Ooh,
Not just a woman, but a wise woman in the room.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So
That's good.
to have that woman in your corner, and I get it, man, because that woman can just help you in so many areas. And I think sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I mean, you have a huge platform, but do you think that women are tired of being a helpmeet, if you will? You think they're tired of that?
No, I think women want to support a good man. I think women are tired of being taken advantage of by men who use them for the value that they have to offer and walk away. Women don't want to be taken advantage of. They don't want to be abused. They don't want to be abandoned by these men. And I think because of that, they fully run the opposite way to the extreme. Say, oh, well, if helping a man leads to me being taken advantage of, then I want the soft life. Let me be helped from this day forth. Because obviously, if I get a man who makes six figures, I won't necessarily need to help him. And that's a complete lie. A man desires a woman that is valuable to him. And so if you're thinking that you're going to come into the situation like, I'm about to lay on the couch, rescue me, that is unattractive. And it's not to say I want to take care of my wife. I want her to be, to feel the soft life. But when she comes into the situation to just think that she's about to just kick up her legs and not be a support to me and not be a value to me, whether that be emotionally, mentally, to be by my side, to walk with me, I need that. So if you think you're not going to be able to do that, then it's just like, nah, you're not valuable in his perspective. And so, yeah, I don't think women want to help and be there for a man. I think women underestimate the power of them being a help to a man. But I think if a man is leads with, hey, this is who I am. I'm going to stand with you and I'm going to pour into you. Then a woman will follow and reciprocate like that. You plant and they'll continue to water.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. You got to get an increase. Amen.
gotta get an increase. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Uh, many men struggle. The question I had is, many men struggle with balancing ambition and family and responsibilities. How do you personally navigate that tension as husband, father, and leader?
Many men battle. You said the word responsibility.
Many men struggle with balancing ambition and family responsibilities.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the question about balance. I think it's an illusion to think you'll get the perfect balance. I think the better question is about priorities, recognizing what your priorities are as a man of God. If your priorities are out of place, then it's going to crumble somewhere or another. And there are going to be signals, like just like a car. Like when your priorities are off, you're not doing your oil change, your car is going to let you know. And as you are the leader of your household, steering that ship and driving that car, when you're deprioritizing important things, there are going to be signals. And so you may not even have to, take it in. is going to start making noise for you. And so I think making sure you position yourself as a man of God who can hear from God, who is eager to hear the voice of God, who reads their word, who knows what God is saying, then it allows you to position yourself in a way that allows you to serve your family in a way that actually covers them, helps, and supports them as the man that God has called you to be. Because God, I always say this, and people always hate when I say it, but I'll say it anyway. God has not called us to be capital P providers, but lowercase p providers, which looks like more like stewardship. Capital P provider that God is the God that supplies all needs. We wear that burden because we think as men, our job is to supply all needs. We can't supply all needs. We lean on God, who knows our wives and our children better than we can, who loves our wives and our children better than we can, and who also loves us. And so that ultimate provider role that we try to carry, that's God's role. One, first of all, it crushes you because you don't know enough. You don't have enough to be able. If your job stops giving you a check, do you lose your manhood because in that week, that month, that 3 months when you're on unemployment, you cannot provide as sufficiently? So do you lose your manness? Do you lose your manhood? No. And this is why it's about stewardship. And it's this idea that if God, or when God gives it, it's his goodness. If God withholds it, it's his wisdom. So whatever state that I'm in, if we balling or if we lacking, God has always been in control. God has always been the provider, and I have always been a steward, and I want to be a good steward, and I want to make sure, and I have a passion that my kids and my wife are taken care of. And as long as that is there, God's gonna honor the stewardship that we lean in for. And so when I prioritize him, and then I prioritize my family, then things are gonna fall in place accordingly. I don't have to kind of juggle. It flows really, really organically when I put him first.
All right. All right, I'm tripping because you just set somebody free because you said the lowercase provider, lowercase p. That's just like when we worship the created opposed to the creator,
Oh,
right? We
yes.
we worship the created. We worship the man and woman, because if you don't worship God, you're gonna worship something.
Ooh, come on.
So when you say a lowercase p, I
Yes.
love that. I don't know who gave you some flack on that, but that's a word
Oh
because
no, they hated it. They hated it.
nah, I got you 110% because like you said, we don't have all the answers.
Yes. Yes.
We are caught up by the time of the tick of the clock, and God isn't restricted to that.
Come on.
So as a man, and I get it because we are called to be providers, but like you said, lowercase p, because like you said, what happens if your job lets you go tomorrow?
Come on.
Are you still a man? Like you
Come
said,
on.
are you still a man? And a lot of men get their identity from what
Yes.
they can bring home every 2 weeks.
Talk.
Man,
Talk.
man.
It'll crush you, man. It'll crush you. And I mean, women should know this. A man that loves his family, loves his woman, a man that just thinks like a man is far more broken and disturbed about not having than you would ever be. Before you ever shed a tear, he shed 100 in his own mind and heart. And so you don't have to beg a good man, like, or pressure a good man into, hey, do you want to work hard? No, I want to do whatever is necessary, whatever I gotta do to take care of y'all, to do what's best. It hurts him so much more than it could possibly hurt you. And so I was talking to a friend on the podcast. He was like, man, you don't even have, before you even said a word, I kicked myself 100 times. And so if you understood that, instead of more condemnation and harsh words, support, God, assistance in those situations, a prayer is far more helpful than you saying like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, dang, like, you don't think we didn't ask ourselves, what's wrong with me? No, I didn't put in all these resumes,
Applications,
nobody
yeah.
applications. It's embarrassing. It hurts us because we are already wearing the pressure from society. We don't want to come home and get crushed by our wives. But like I said, there are some men that want to just be couch potatoes and want to lean on their woman to do everything. I'm not talking about those men. There's a problem there that allows him to be comfortable while you suffer, while the kids suffer. That's not a mindset I would recommend. If you're a man and you're okay watching your family go down the drain and you're not putting the effort, figuring out different ways to rise above so you can help your family, that's different. And I'm not just saying, hey, you making 55 or 40K, 47K, and your wife is making 85. So now you need to just be depressed because you're not making as much as your wife. I'm not talking about that, but you're working hard. You're trying to figure it out. I'm not talking about that. Yeah. But I mean those that are just not, there are things made available to you. There's education made available to you. There are other opportunities, and you just would rather take the easy way out. I think you need to do some self-assessment, because if you're not willing to self-sacrifice for the people that you love, then that is more of a question of who you are and what you stand for than the actual number on the check.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'm glad you clarified that, because once this hit the social media streets, people, Ezekiel said, we ain't talking about that. So I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you. Thank you. I want to take a quick breather, because this is getting so heavy. I have some other great questions I want to ask you, but I want to take a second for our sponsor, the Love Fearlessly Intimacy Card Deck. This is a card deck that my wife and I created. 30 questions from a husband and wife. We're going on 8 years of marriage, and from our past experiences, I was married almost 15 years before her experience. We put this together for people who are dating, whether if you're getting in a serious relationship, to ask these questions, because I think a lot of times we get into these dating phases and we asking the wrong questions, and then we wonder why they turn out the way that they are, because we asked the wrong questions, like what's your favorite? Nothing's wrong with your favorite color, but I'm just saying. So you can find that at scarytoremarry.com. I'll have it in the description below. So Ezekiel, I want to pull the card from the intimacy card deck, and I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
All right. The question is, how did you manage hurt and disappointment growing up?
How did I manage hurt and disappointment growing up? So obviously growing up would not have been the recommended. I remember in high school when I had a girlfriend in the 11th grade, and found out from multiple people that she was talking to other dudes, dancing with other dudes, and I actually found out that she was actually intimate with other dudes. And I remember I did not shed one tear. At the time, I used to come to school every day with flowers, and not every day, every month with flowers and teddy bear for our every month anniversaries. We were together for 9 months. And when I tell you that thing bothered, that I didn't realize that was my first heartbreak. I'm just like, what? To me, I made a vow to myself that I would never, never give my heart to a woman again. And from that moment, I closed my mind to the idea of love. And I just dealt with women so harshly. And I did not open up to anybody about it. I did not have no conversations with anybody about it. I made a decision from that point on in response to that. And I think that's what a lot of us do. We just live in response to heartbreak, to brokenness, to trauma. And it took a lot of deprogramming for me. Even when I met my wife, the first few months, I felt like I was really falling for her. And I said, don't tell me you love me, because I'm not going to tell you I love you back. It was that deep. Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't have the proper ways, but it took the Lord, it took her, it took a lot of healing for me to come to a place where I could fully receive her love and fully give my love.
Amen. Wow, that's heavy. Well, thanks for sharing that story, man. Because like you said, I think a lot of guys struggle with that and don't know how to process it. And it comes out in so many unhealthy ways.
Yes.
Then you're 40 and then you look behind you, and it's just rubble and trash everywhere,
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Those are good questions, man. I
Oh,
have a card game myself, but that's actually deeper. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to collab.
oh, oh yeah, it's some deep ones in there. My wife, her and I were picking our. I mean, man, we were going. I mean, it took a long time. We're like, no, we ain't gonna use that one. That one is whack. No, let's use,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Man,
man.
that's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. And I like that because I always say this, have the hard conversations now. A question like that in the dating phase will help uncover some stuff. And you might be like, okay, we was about to go into be engaged, but wait, we might have to do a pause and do some therapy here before we keep going. That's what it's about. Or maybe we might, I can't handle this. Maybe we need to step back and be friends for right now. You need to have this hard conversations in the front
Yep.
rather than in marriage and y'all figuring out real time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I know for me personally, I struggle big time with communication. Like I said, because I growing up as a kid, I was in that latchkey era. Uh, children should be seen and not heard, and
Mhm.
I didn't have an opinion. Everything was, what my mom said. That was gospel. That was it.
Let's go. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it was one of those things. So it ended up hindering me later on when I got married in my first marriage because I was emotionally unavailable. Like I didn't know how to express myself in a healthy way where I felt like I was heard.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's important that we actually, let our kids talk and be able to manage their feelings and let them feel, because we become adults, man, and we just become shells of ourselves, and nobody really knows what's going on the inside. So, and that's when one day you snap, and next thing you know, somebody's on the news.
That's really how it goes. I'm laughing, but that's so real, man. It's seeds planted from childhood, and then we just bury that stuff, and then
Very.
we implode, man.
Yep.
That's that's it, man. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hmm.
Oh my God. Many men enter. Oh, I had this was a good one. What is one hard truth about marriage that men often learn too late?
There's a lot of those, man. I would definitely say your sexual history will catch back up with you. Meaning, and I don't mean just what you've done in the past, but even the habits that you form with your behavior and the way that you think about sex. Like you cannot bring that into your marital bedroom because you're going to complicate, you're going to burden, you're going to hurt yourself. I mean, I, porn is a real stronghold that's messing up a lot of men. You got expectations that you have from porn, from sexual history. You end up wanting your wife to be an evangelist and a peace star at the same time. And you're frustrated because you have several experiences with all of these people who've done this. And now you're committed to one person for the rest of your life. She don't have the thighs of Vanessa, and you know what I'm saying? Now you stuck because you got all of these things that have you've conditioned your mind for, and now you place that weight and crush your wife with it. You, of course, you'll never be satisfied,
Mhm.
and that itself will be a cycle of destruction for your marriage. So it matters, and be mindful of the deprogramming and the destruction of the things that you've built up once you get into that place, because now you're dealing with a God ordained dynamic that is not of the world. And it's not just about your pleasure. Hello, we could talk about this all day.
Come on.
It's not just about your pleasure. So you can't take those ideals and that mindset into your bedroom as a married man. So it's a lot to say about that.
I am so glad that you talked about the whole thing about sexual history for men because the comparison is out of this world. And when you get married and you with one woman and you done had, flip it like Felicia and
Maybe
you
like
you
Felicia. I never heard of that one.
it just came to my I don't know what made me think. But if you doing those things and when you are married, your spouse, especially if you had a wild sexual history
Yes.
and your wife is like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You like, why not? Because to you, you think that's normal.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because the girls that you weren't married to, they were willing to do whatever to keep you.
Ooh,
So you got married, and now you mad at your wife because she can't fill in the blank.
dang, dang.
Mhm.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yay! And you know what? And it's not to say that you can't have an amazing sex life
Of
with your
course.
spouse,
Thank you.
but what happens, the pressure comes from you. You don't want a sexual journey. You want an instantaneous do it as I say, because that's what porn gives you. Porn, you could type in a description and it gives you instantaneously what your mind can imagine. That's not how humans work. You have to actually care about the individual. You actually act the process of I have to provide pleasure to you in the midst of me if you doing the same for me. And that may take time before we're able to transition and elevate and evolve and do different things there. And that's the beauty of the journey. But it doesn't require porn doesn't require a journey. Those
Mm.
flips, those you said the smash and dashes don't require a journey. And so it's a lot to say. It's a lot to say about that. But we take those things stain our memories and we drag those third and fourth parties into our bedrooms and we wonder why there's frustration. Yeah.
Yeah, because Tiffany Buckner, I seen her on your show when I did a reel with that, and that thing went bananas.
Really?
It went, I mean, I think that thing over 2 million something views. Like it's still going. It's still going crazy when Tiffany is talking about when your past sexual history, you bringing them into your bedroom. It's
Yes.
still going crazy. And she was a guest on here a couple of weeks ago, and she
You
was talking about
was?
the same thing. Yeah, she was on here a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
What?
So God has been showing me favor. I've been grateful.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, she's been truly a blessing. Okay, so here's the question that caused a lot of controversy. There was a young lady that I brought on the show, and she talked about she said men, and she's a therapist. She said men over 40 never been married, and never been married and don't have any kids. She said
Yeah, red flag.
yeah, she said she used the word cringy, but she looked at it, she was like, okay, well, but basically that's what she was saying. She was like something going on with that. So what are your thoughts on men over 40, no kids, never married? What are your thoughts?
I have mixed feelings.
Okay.
I have mixed feelings. Let's start on the positive side. I
Okay.
think it is very well possible for there to be a man that is old, over 35,
Mhm.
that does not have kids, that has never been married, that maybe even 40, that's never been married. And there are even some that exist that are virgins. So
Yes.
let's just be real. There are some that exist that are virgins.
Yes.
It's possible. I think some of those men, believe it or not, there are men that just don't have good luck, or they don't do well when it comes to relationships because they've never been in relationships. They don't know how to navigate them. Women, may be attracted on the onset or not as attracted, so they don't have enough dates, or they're awkward. There's so many reasons why a man could not be in a relationship and not have kids.
Yes.
So let's put that to the side.
Yes.
However, I'll say this. I do feel like for the more normal, well-to-do, nice-looking man in this day and age, I feel like unless he has an extreme pursuit for something, like, let's say, hey, she has to be like this, and his preferences and standards are very, very particular, or
Hmm.
God said she must be this, or whatever the case may be. If
Yes.
he's really open and looking for a woman,
Mhm.
and he has yet to be in a serious relationship, let's say he did and it failed, or he got engaged and it didn't work out, at least something like that, or he tried to get married and got divorced, that to me seems more reasonable than to say, man, I don't really see, they ain't really tickling my fancy like that. Like I get frustrated when I like some of my more qualified candidates and my more qualified eligible bachelors. It's just really nothing is popping. I think there is something. There's an issue. And when I've had these conversations with them, they admit that there's an issue. The ones that are willing to take accountability.
Gotcha.
The ones that are not saved, man, these women ain't about nothing, man. They all like, no, bro. It's you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's you. Some of them really enjoy being chased and wanted. Some of them enjoy being one of the few black men that's over 5'10", that got a beard. And then everybody's looking and wanting them, especially that's in the faith. So we got to admit that there is a desires for these men to continue maintaining a desirous spot in the market. And so I think that plays a part into it heavily. I think, and also like this this dynamic, this world doesn't make it alluring for most men to actually run into marriage, especially when a lot of women give these men what they can get in marriage for free. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these men can get a woman's time and company and sex without the commitment. So why would a man surrender and sacrifice his commitment and his resources when he doesn't have to, because he's already desired, so he could get all the benefits of that woman without any effort or with little effort? And so that is, I think that's the biggest issue right now.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree because that's that old saying, why buy the cow? I ain't saying women are cows. I'm just saying, it's that
Yeah.
whole thing. So yeah, it's like why? I ain't no need to. If you can get Amazon for free, what I'm saying, you just gonna take Amazon and not pay for it. That's
Right.
a couple of people got there on their cousin's Amazon account because they don't want to
Yeah.
pay for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's the reality of it, man. It ain't that deep. It ain't that deep. And I think if men heard that and got offended, there's only it's a handful of serious particular type of men that are more extreme on the extreme side that will have that much of an issue.
Mhm.
It can happen, but it should not be common, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, for
Mm.
sure. Yeah, I hear you, man. Because, yeah, and that's a whole conversation within itself.
Yeah.
Man, Ezekiel, thank you so much for your time, man. This has been You were on my Mount Rushmore
Oh man, no
people.
way.
No, for real. I have gotten 3 of the 4 people on I think it's 4 people on Mount Rushmore that I wanted to interview, and you were one of them. So
That's crazy.
God is faithful, man. This has truly been a blessing, man. I'm honored. Can you let everyone know how they can get in touch with you?
Man, just everything is Words by Ezekiel. So I'm mainly on Instagram. So if you reach out to Words by Ezekiel, I'll also have a link that leads to my website, and you can find out a little bit about me. But for my podcast, it's actually we need to talk on YouTube. Real encourage y'all to check that out. Really, really powerful testimonies on there as well.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. I'll be snipping up your videos and they all go crazy.
Hey, that's
I,
fire. Thank you, bro. Keep
I'll
on
be,
doing it, man.
hey, I'll be tagging you. I'll be like, oh, it
Hey,
looks good.
I appreciate you, man. And I appreciate what you do, man, and the content that you push and what you stand for, man. So I pray that God continues to increase your platform and reach, bro.
The imperfections lie in both people. We have to have enough bandwidth and relational capacity, man, to be able to hold the tension of being able to watch somebody develop with us on their way to somewhere. Vice versa. It has to happen on both sides.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because marriage it's just like this mirror, man. It's just this little mirror. It just shows you. You like, oh,
100%.
that's me. Oh, okay.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Of our marriage, I remember we were having an argument, a disagreement, and she just looked at me and she said to me, I told her, if you wouldn't have done this, that, the other, and she looked at me. She's like, I'm not really your problem. She's like, your anger is. And it was in that moment, even though I wanted to deny every part of it because I thought that she was basically just not listening to what I had to say, and she was using this deflection of saying, well, I'm not your problem, you are. It was like, no, you didn't hear what I said, or whatever. The truth of the matter is that she was right, and it was in that moment. I wish that single people, Sean, would go and talk to people like you, like myself. I wish that single people would pause and say, wait a minute, let me find what I'm looking for in somebody else who's displaying it it's so interesting that single people will talk to other single people who have the same thoughts, ideals, limiting beliefs, limitations, right? That they have to attempt to enter into a relationship, and both of them share the same fears and or unwillingness to embrace, right, these imperfections in other people. So you're talking to the wrong person.
What's up, Bravehearts community? This is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach, back with another segment of It's Scary to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. I have a special guest with me today. This man has had a huge impact on my life, from pastoring to friend to just his wisdom. He's been married, I believe, over 25 years.
31.
31 years. Dad, granddad, the man has wisdom out of this world, has a crazy following on TikTok. If you haven't seen his content, I suggest you go check it out. I have everything linked up in the description below. Bravehearts community, let's show some love to Demetrius Colbert. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me here. That's very gracious introduction. And you also, man, just watching you and seeing what you're doing now has been incredible blessing to me, man. So I'm glad just to be here and have an opportunity to chop it up with you.
For sure, man. Yeah, everyone, make sure you go check out his TikToks. I wanted to talk about all his TikToks, but that you just had to go check out the content. Today, I want to discuss embracing imperfections, love and authenticity. I want to talk about this because we do not talk about this enough. And we're going to get into this. Why is it difficult to accept others' imperfections when we are flawed ourselves?
Great question. And I wish there was just an easy answer to that. But I do think that is multi-layered, Sean, to be honest with you, because I think that what happens is that people have an idea in their mind about who they want. And ultimately, that ideal a lot of times is born out of who they are not. And so we have a struggle with embracing other people's imperfections, because when we have this ideal and we bring it in, then it ultimately covers up what we're missing, what we haven't worked on, what we haven't personally developed internally in ourselves. So we think if we have this other person, they really can kind of we can kind of hide behind their shade tree, if you will, right? And just continue to go on. And I also think too that we also put our identity oftentimes in the people that we are connected to and that we're in a relationship with, when we shouldn't put our identity in that place. And I think that causes us to have a lot of problems, because people come flawed. And that's the beautiful thing about being able to work through a relationship, is that those flaws oftentimes are beautiful things that both of those people can work on and develop and grow and close the gap on a lot of times. But we want somebody who we think has everything already, but it's typically about a shortcoming that's really hidden on the inside of us.
Are you a content creator, YouTuber? Maybe you've interviewed someone on your video podcast and they said something that was really, really good, or maybe you said something that was really, really good. Well, enter Opus Clips. This is the platform that I use when I want to share 30 to 60-second video clips that I can share with the whole world. I mean, you can share those clips on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram Reels, like these 30 to 60-second clips that Opus Clips can give to you with the click of a mouse. All you have to do is upload the recording and boom, Opus Clips within maybe 10 minutes will give you 15 to 25 different clips with description on the side of the video. And it also gives you like a title, and it gives you a rating and let you know how powerful that clip can be used on social media, from a rating of 99 all the way down to maybe 60. this is a phenomenal platform that has took my social media marketing to another level. If you want to level up your social media game, go in the description below right now and get the link for Opus Clips. This will not disappoint you. You coming out the gate swinging. Because and no shade, y'all know I love y'all Bravehearts community. Y'all know I love y'all. Or anyone who's watching this for the first time, I love y'all. But I must say, because when I talk to my single folks, the first thing they say is, "I want a man or a woman of God," and I'm like, "Is that for them to be, your spiritual Bible for what I'm saying, opposed to you knowing like, do you know the word for yourself?" You know what I'm saying? It's like, are you a woman of God? Are you a man of God? Because you say you want those things,
Right,
you know.
right, right. What does that mean too, Sean? To be honest with you, what does that mean? So when someone is saying, I want a man or a woman of God, what are you describing? So again, we're saying, I want somebody who doesn't share the same struggle that I do, when in fact, you're attempting to say, I'm good where I am. I want somebody who doesn't have a struggle so that I don't have to also help navigate that scenario and situation right there. So when we say we want a man or woman of God, what are we saying? What are we describing? Are we talking about values? Are we talking about somebody who appears to be spiritual? Are we talking about somebody who prays all the time? Are we talking about somebody who's in a role in ministry? What are we asking for? Because if you're telling me you want a man or woman of God, you're saying, I want to build something with somebody that we can have legacy attached to it, and we can go somewhere. When people see what not just us, but what we built, that's the after work of what we've done together. They will see that. And so we then become the truth and a shade tree to other people while they work on what they're working on. So if we don't have that in mind, I'm wondering what people are asking about when they're saying, I want a man or a woman of God. We have to cultivate what we have. It doesn't just happen for us. It has to be cultivated.
And that's such a great question. To all those who are watching, leave in the comments below. Yeah, when you say you want a man or a woman of God, break that down for me. Let me know, because I would love to hear that, because that's one of the first things I hear from most of my single people. So yeah, so in the comments below, I would love to hear, how would you define a man or woman of God? Great point, because so many people say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you embrace imperfections in marriage? What does that look like? I mean, you've been married over 30 years, like
31 years. Yeah.
31 years. How do you embrace imperfections in your marriage?
I'll say this to you: acceptance of one another's flaws breeds a deeper connection with us. I have to know that there's going to be some times where I'm going to be the strength in the relationship, and sometimes she's going to be the strength in the relationship. And that all depends on what's going on with us individually. And then collectively, we will have to say, I'm not where I need to be, and I'm going to need to lean in on you right now. Or sometimes it will be vice versa. She will need to lean in on me. So again, I didn't marry a project. I married a person. And so I understand that person comes with their own set of limitations and challenges, good days and bad days. And so it's all about choosing that person, Sean, every day. This is my biggest challenge that I find with people, is that you've got to choose the person that you're with every day. There are a lot of people, I want to get married. I want to be this. I want to be that. Let me back up for a second. I get asked this question a lot. Man, what is the secret to marriage? And there isn't a secret. There's two things that I do believe are necessary, though, outside of a relationship with God. And it's going to be this. One, I have to ask my wife, how can I serve you every day? And I do everything in my power to do that. Both people need to figure out, how do I serve you today? Like, what can I do for you that's going to make your day better? that is automatically acknowledging that there's flaws there, right? What can I do? Maybe my wife isn't as strong in the area. Maybe I'm not as strong as in an area. So we do things, we attempt to do things for each other, with each other, around each other that allow us, Sean, to be able to close the gap on those flaws with each other. The second thing is choosing. I'm choosing you, and when I chose you, I chose everything that came with you. So I'm not now attempting to fix those things in you so that I'm comfortable. I'm recognizing that these are a part of who you are, and I love that too, even if I don't share that same struggle. Because what I love about you doesn't, it's not encapsulated in this area where you have an imperfection. This, if I only love the parts of you that I think are perfect, then I'm not loving all of you in the first place.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I can't pick and choose the parts of you. Well, I'm gonna love this part of you. No, when I said I wanted you, that meant I wanted all of you. So she has to in turn want all of me too. That includes flaws, imperfections, difficulties, socks on the floor, whatever the scenario might be, right? You have to say, I'm choosing the whole person, their whole life, not the parts of it that I like.
Yeah, because we live in a convenient society, right? We just want everything done just the way we like, right? We like it's like I married you, YOU, but people only want to marry the YO. They leave the U out,
And then that's exactly right. Why, yo, but you, I'm good with yo, but now with you. And I think, yeah, man, convenience, when we talk about that, again, one of the things that is important and necessary, Sean, for relationships is the ability to fight for what you believe you have. And when people don't take the time to fight for what they believe that they have, they're basically saying, this isn't enough for me to invest in. All investments come with some level of risk. The question becomes, is which risk are you willing to take? And here's the deal. You can move to the next person if you want to, believing that it's going to be better, but they also have inherent risk. And you also have to be vulnerable, and you also have to invest yourself into that relationship as well. It's just the way that it is. The ideal of escaping this causes people to make choices and decisions that just aren't healthy. They're just not healthy. They're not. And there's no such thing as convenience in a relationship. We work together, we struggle together, we battle together, and we fight against what comes against us and not each other. So convenience, no. If there's going to be a convenience, we both are going to benefit from that convenience because of the work and effort that we put in to create that convenience.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
love
how
it.
we go.
Yeah, because when one person is winning in a marriage, ultimately both of you're losing. The marriage is losing. So a lot of times people think like I gotta be right or I have to this kind of thing. It's like we this one flesh thing, we gotta win, opposed to you always having the
We
upper hand.
we we have to win. That's the way that it has to go down, man, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. Why aren't we talking about embracing imperfections to single people enough? I mean, this is a topic. I think this will keep people from getting married, not in a bad way, but to really give them something to think about. Because I think this topic, even though it's kind of nuanced in a way, but why aren't we talking to singles about this enough?
I actually wish a couple of things that singles would do. I
Mm-hmm.
really do. I wish this wholeheartedly. I wish that single people, Sean, would go and talk to people like you, like myself. I think I wish that single people would pause and say, wait a minute, let me find what I'm looking for in somebody else who's displaying it. It's so interesting that single people will talk to other single people who have the same thoughts, ideals, limiting beliefs, limitations, right? That they have to attempt to enter into a relationship, and both of them share the same fears and or unwillingness to embrace, right, these imperfections in other people. So you're talking to the wrong person. But if you go and talk to somebody like myself, I have 3+ decades into a relationship, right? So that means either I endured something or I know something. One of the two things. Either I've endured this person or I've actually know something that allowed us to be successful in this relationship. And so why would you not run to that? So one of the big challenges that I find, man, with a lot of people not willing to embrace imperfections too, is because now we have all these red pills, blue pills. We have all of these numbering systems. You're a 10, you're a 5, you know, he's a 1, you're really this. And then you get to see a lot of this stuff is inundated on social media, where we're listening to people who, you know, are, you know, hey, I'm in the top 2%, I'm a 1%, you know, all this other kind of good stuff. So we have all these numbers flying around when really, truthfully, Sean, none of this stuff has anything to do with identity. So what we're doing is we're actually looking for a person, Sean, that does not exist. This person does not exist. So the reason why we won't put up for an imperfection is because we're marrying or willing to embrace falsehoods just because it looks like something that we want, when truthfully behind the veil, when the veil is removed, you will ultimately see. If you get close enough to my face, you will see the imperfections in my face. The closer you get, and the same thing will happen for them, the closer they get to a relationship, they will then in fact see imperfections in that relationship. Well, oh, well, when I met you, you were like this. But now it's been a little while. Now I'm seeing something else come from you. So what we're not trying to get to know a person in order to deep dive into the relationship and see what their imperfections are. We're not even willing to have conversations at that level. Hey, where do you struggle? Like what are you working on in your life? That's one of the questions I think people who are dating should ask. Hey, what kind of things are you working on in your life right now? What is the thing that you've overcome most recently? Right? You're gonna open the door, Sean, to a plethora of information. How were you raised? Right? What were the things you most valued or were most valued in your home while you were being raised? This is going to tell you a lot about this person and their imperfections, their tendencies, their proclivities, right? Their preferences, all of these things. You're gonna get access to all of those things, Sean. But we don't learn how to talk now. What we've done is we have a list of, this is who you are. I need you to make $120,000. You need to be driving this kind of car. You need to have 401k like this. No one wants to build anything with anybody anymore. We want somebody to come ready-made. So watch this. We will settle for the look without the love. You look like something. So when we're out, people, that's a power couple. And there is no power in that couple because you don't even know this person down at the heart level. You don't know what they dream about. You don't know what they desire. You don't know what they want. You don't know what they hustle for. You don't know any of those things because we're not having conversations about who the person is. We're having conversations around what we need the person to appear to have so that we look like somehow we've ascended somewhere. We're balling now. We're doing something fantastic. We're doing something great. That's why I think a lot of imperfections aren't there. And again, it's easy for me to hide behind saying that you don't have something that I'm not working on in my own life.
So you said people people are looking for someone that doesn't exist.
They don't exist.
That's heavy. I was thinking about
They don't exist.
I was thinking of, did you see The Usual Suspects with Kevin Spacey?
Oh man, a long time ago.
Long time ago, right?
Yeah.
But when you said looking for somebody that doesn't exist, I'm thinking of Kaiser Soze, the guy who they told a story about him, but the guy never
It
existed.
existed. Yes. Absolutely.
So, that's
People
good.
they don't exist, Sean. And again, we will buy the books that they put in the bookstore. Do not tell you about the time they wanted to quit, and in the middle when they didn't think it was going to work. They ultimately sell you on the end. But the best books are the ones where people tell you when they started and when they almost quit. But you don't see those books in the bookstore. And if you don't have those conversations, you're trying to create something that isn't real. The truth of the matter is, sell me the end of the story. But if you didn't give me the beginning and the middle of the story, I'm missing the most crucial points. Because how did you get to the end and sustain what you're doing? That person doesn't exist. A perfect person doesn't exist.
Yeah.
No.
My God, yeah, because we're all beautifully broken, right? You know, and when you think about just from a biblical perspective, right? You know, the Bible talks about how while we were sinners, Christ died for us, right? It's like this love, you know. And I was just thinking, how many people are even willing to stand the test of time? And like you said, they're looking for someone that doesn't exist, and you could spend these X amount of years with somebody and you like, oh, this ain't the person who I thought you were going to be. I'm out, you know?
Yeah. Who I thought you were going to be, while never looking at, again, yourself and saying, well, who am I? Who do I want to be in this relationship? Which again is a big problem because the imperfections lie in both people. We have to have enough bandwidth and relational capacity, man, to be able to hold the tension of being able to watch somebody develop with us on their way to somewhere. Vice versa. It has to happen on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because marriage is it's just like this mirror, man. It's just this little mirror. It just shows you. You like, oh, well,
100%.
that's me. Oh, okay.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Some stuff I need to work on. How do you differentiate between healthy imperfections and issues that require addressing?
Man, that's a great question. If somebody is abusive, Sean, in any way, shape, or form, emotionally, mentally, spiritually,
Mm,
financially, withholding money from you, spiritually abusing you, telling you that you don't have a right to do certain things because they know it. There's abuse, and that even goes beyond an imperfection. And then there's the imperfection of, hey, this person is late all the time. Hey, this person isn't as consistent as they need to be all the time. Hey, you know, I literally have to remind this person of various different dates and times or things along those lines. All those are fixable. All those are manageable, and things are recovered. The difference though is when you're dealing with somebody who is a person who will ultimately you know, harm you in some way, shape, or form, and isn't looking out for your ultimate good. That's somebody that you need to know the difference between what's healthy and what isn't healthy. And that doesn't mean too. So let me clarify something here too, because this is an easy thing to kind of go off on a tangent about, and that would be people would be like, one of the big words right now is that people are narcissists. And I'm so tired of hearing that word because, to be honest with you, if you really look up narcissism
mm.
and you pay very close attention to it, all of us have a little bit of narcissist in us.
Thank
So
you.
we're all on the spectrum somewhere. We have a little bit of narcissist in us. And so what we've done though is we've used it as an escape route for no longer wanting to invest into a relationship that we don't have the personal, again, bandwidth or capacity, Sean, to be able to manage a person because we probably have met our own limitation. And so there's just because someone has a deeper struggle perhaps than yours does not make them a full-blown narcissist. They may have some narcissistic tendencies, but truthfully, again, we all are on the spectrum of narcissism. Just look it up. All of us have a little bit of narcissism that runs through us on a regular basis. And that doesn't make us a narcissist. The moment could be a narcissist moment, but that doesn't make us a narcissist. But to be healthy, healthy people have conversations. Healthy people seek to recover from their difficulties with each other. Healthy people communicate very well. They're honest. They're sincere. And what they do, they take ownership when they do fail. And it's not an incessant, hey, I'm sorry this week. Hey, I'm sorry next week. Hey, I'm sorry. It's not over and over again, right? It's like, hey, you know what? Hey, I missed it on that. We got upset. It was this, that, the other. You know, I said some things that I didn't want to say. And this isn't calling you out of your name, belittling you, you know, stripping you of your dignity as a person, things along those lines. This is, hey, you know, it crossed boundaries that we never have crossed or wouldn't want to cross in terms of how we feel in this moment. Those are healthy relationships. And I believe that all relationships have some level of tension in them. You don't know what you have until you have to walk through those levels of tension with somebody else. That's just reality. It's just a fact. They're not going to be free of that. But somebody who's late all the time or whatever, whatnot, hey, that's something easily correctable that you can share with them and, you know, push them through. And I don't even think something like that, Sean, should be a deal breaker with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, but I know people who do fall out about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because they like, I'm on time all the time and he can't get it together or she can't get it together. And I'm so tired of you.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, some of my clients, those are some of the clients that I have that I coach that will tell me this is my issue with them. We could work on those issues, but it's not a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a deal breaker.
Yeah, I agree. You talked about narcissists. I'm so glad that you said that because anytime I hear someone say the reason they broke up with their boyfriend or their girlfriend was because they're a narcissist, and they leave it at that. He's a narcissist. I'm like, okay, what about you though?
Yeah. And that's the missing piece of it, Sean, is that these people a lot of times don't realize that even that statement a lot of times can come across narcissistically. And, you know, again, it's the ideal, nothing's wrong with me, something's wrong with him or her. And so I had to walk away from this person because they're a narcissist. It's one of those things, you know, it becomes a hashtag, a keyword in relationships, and then everybody starts to run to it. But again, Sean, what is our personal capacity to embrace another person into our lives and walk with another person, flawed, imperfect, and all, and say, this is a person I care about. And while there's nothing abusive here, there's some things that we both have to work on. These are my strengths. These are his strengths. These are my weaknesses. These are his weaknesses. You know what? We'll go find somebody too if we both can't match in these weakness place, and we'll find somebody. We'll get friends around us. We'll put people around us who can help us, who can allow us to build in this space, you know, in this place, and be able to go forward in that, Sean. But for the most part, yeah, man, it's an overused word again for me, in my opinion, to escape the responsibility of working on a relationship.
Yeah, because you got to put in the work, and you've been married over 30 years. You know what it's like to put in the work over and over again consistently. So I'm glad that and that's one of the reasons I had you on the show, because I'm like, over 30 years, like you said, you know a thing or two. So
A
with
little
this
bit.
amount of wisdom, yeah, I had to have you on because there's so many single people that I'm connected to, especially who want to marry or even remarry. I think an episode like this is crucial. That's really needed for today's culture and our clients alike.
Yeah.
Question: how do you embrace your own perfections? Or when did you even know? When were you aware? You was like, I need to fix some stuff.
I tell you what, man, you just gave the mirror analogy to being married, man. My wife told me several years ago, I'll never forget, early on in our marriage, it was definitely within inside the first 7 years, first decade of our marriage. I remember we were having an argument, a disagreement, and she just looked at me and she said to me, I told her, if you wouldn't have done this, that, the other, and she looked at me She's like, I'm not really your problem. She's like, your anger is.
Mm.
And it was in that moment, uh, even though I wanted to deny every part of it because I thought that she was basically just not listening to what I had to say. And she was using this deflection of saying, well, I'm not your problem, you are. Blah, blah, blah. It was like, no, you didn't hear what I said or whatever. The truth of the matter is that she was right. And it was in that moment that I did know, like, hey, dude, this is you. This is a thing with you, and you do have to address these issues. But what I've also done too, Sean, you didn't ask this, but I want to share it. Is
Sure.
I've taken the opportunity to, over the years, pay attention to also how I was raised. I'm a big fan of people knowing their stock, knowing where they came from, because the majority of the things that we practice and that we know and that we struggle with and that we do well with came from the people who raised us. And if it wasn't directly from those people, it was from the people in the community that we were raised in, because culture is people, is not processes or things. And so you pick up a lot of cultural things depending on how you were raised and where you were raised from. And when I also didn't have certain things in my life, I would respond angrily. So I had to find a lot of that out, which then led to some therapy type sessions and different things along those lines. When my mom passed away 3 years ago, it was 27th of last month was her death anniversary.
Mm.
So and I had gone to um, grief counseling in the first year, really not too long after she had passed away. And there was a lot of conversation that I had in there about how I felt and about how some of those anger things that were just kind of laying down in there, but they
Mm.
would show up at inopportune times. Because my wife would also say to me, "Hey, your response to me doesn't match what I was just talking to you about." But for me, the response that I came up with was one of anger, disappointment, and discouragement, and it didn't match the scenario, it didn't match the situation. So I work on that as often as I possibly can. Still, I don't ever want to believe that I licked it. And the reason for that is because uh, I on this side of heaven, the whole my hands look new and my feet did too. I don't, that's no, I don't see that. I see that Paul tells us in Romans chapter number 7 that I see in me that when I want to do good, that evil is always present with me, right? Paul gives us a picture of a glimpse of the fact that there's imperfection in the perfection that we're pursuing, and the imperfection still lives there and it constantly battles with us, right? He even asks, he says, who shall deliver me? I love it. He said, this body of death. And so we've oftentimes kind of even misled our brothers and sisters in Christ, because we told them, you're a new creation, your spirit man is new, but you still got it. You still are you. You still got to take a shower. You still got to put on some deodorant, right? You still got to wash your behind. Here's the reality. I'm not new, and Romans chapter number 12 tells us that the renewing happens here and not here, right? So the renewing happens here, and so renewal is how I think about situations. And so if I want to create capacity for even other people's imperfections, it's going to come from renewal in my thinking processes that God has commanded me to do in order to live with somebody else and with myself, to acknowledge that, seeing my own faults and knowing the grace of God that covers that is going to allow for me to then allow for somebody else to be in my space with me, and I'll have the bandwidth and the capacity to hold that.
Mm. That's so good. So good. Thank you for the transparent moment, because I feel you, because I even realized because my wife and I, we have three therapists. We got our own individual, and then we have our marriage therapist.
I love it.
So we be getting our therapy on.
I love it, man. I
You
wish
know,
more people would. I wish more people would.
man, and even being married this second time around, I still have things that I struggle with, and I'm just like, man, this is an ongoing process. Even you talk about anger, I didn't even realize that I had anger issues, you know, and my wife was telling me, I remember one day we were talking and she was just like, this is like you say, this is you had this before we were together. You know what I'm saying? This is a personal issue that you have to resolve. I'm here to support you, but at the same time, that's not me. You know what I'm saying? And when you come to the realization of that, you like, dang, I gotta work on that. I got mommy issues.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know? So the beautiful thing is when you're married to someone who will hold your hand and walk with you.
Right.
That's
Right. And you're not going to judge me. You see that I'm in process, but I'm not using being in process as an excuse for not also progressing enough to where I don't get to lean on using terminology that says I'm in process.
mm. Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My process should lead me to a point where it gets less and less that I have to use that terminology. I
Mm.
should be progressing enough. It's like your children, right? You're like, hey, this is how you go potty.
Mm-hmm.
We got to transition you from pull-ups to getting on that potty. You're okay with the process, but you want to see an ultimate outcome where there's an individual accountability and responsibility for what they need to do. So same thing happens in our relationship. You might catch me in process, but I can't be in process over the same issue for decades. At some point, I got to move. And then what I can be in process with is a new thing that was probably hidden behind that thing because most of those things are connected anyway. If I'm dealing with something over here, it's because I probably had something else over here that was hiding that. And so now this thing has come forward. So I will always be developing myself. But the same thing over and over again, no, there's got to be a point and part of me where I mature in that place and I don't appeal to process all the time to explain away my actions or my behavior.
Ooh, layers. There's so many layers to this thing.
There
As
is.
as Donkey would or what Shrek would say to Donkey. Layers, Donkey,
It's
layers.
layers. Yeah, it's true, man. It's
Yeah.
so true. Yeah, it's so
This
true.
can you let well, first of all, I want to acknowledge you for just staying the course, for staying married
I
for
appreciate it.
31 years, man. That in today's culture, that's unheard of. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. And I know Connie as well. So, it's just like I know y'all. So I'm not just talking just from behind the camera.
No, I appreciate it for sure. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and I also just want to acknowledge you for everything that you've done for the people of faith, from church to ministry to therapy to counseling, just how many people lives you have impacted. So you've impacted my life as well. So I just want to acknowledge you for those things.
And I appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. Let everyone know how they can get in touch with you. I'm going to make sure I have everything linked up in the description below.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of different ways. You can catch me at demetriuscolbert.com. That's my actual coaching website. You can catch me there. You can also go to the ministry website that I have. That's the DIG. That's with two G's, the DIGG.org. You can catch me there. And then on both of those pages, you can find my other social media sites. You made mention of my TikTok, which I just recently hopped back on after 30 days. Sometimes I gotta get out a breather. So I just hopped back on just last Friday, I believe it was, after 30 days away. But you can catch me there. It's the Deeper Podcast there with Demetrius.Colbert. You can catch me there. And yeah, I'd love to connect with anybody.
My initial response in the beginning was, I don't know what I'm going to do. That was my initial response. We homeschooled. So I'm in a panic to a degree, but but God built me for a moment such as this. I was nervous, I was scared, I was frustrated, I was angry, a lot of negative emotions for sure was what it was like. And then it was also encouraging to see that how well equipped my late wife Jen had prepared them. And when it first happened, I definitely wanted to die. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be real and be honest about that. Because it was all of a sudden. It was within a week, that she had got diagnosed with COVID. And so and then we have 4 kids together.
Bravehearts community, this is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach, back with another segment of It's Scary to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. We have a special guest with us today. He is building, encouraging, and holding men accountable to be husbands and fathers that impact their lineage and community, as well as giving insights to women. There's so much more to this, man. This is Dr. Glenn. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Thanks again for taking some time to be a guest on today's segment.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Honored to be here, especially with the topic we're going to be covering. Not too many people maybe one other person has maybe asked me to talk about this particular topic.
Mm-hmm. We're going to discuss navigating grief, a healing journey after loss. A sensitive topic. I do believe that it's worth addressing. I was watching your content, went through all the videos,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, man, it was heartwarming. It was touching. And it helped me to prioritize what's important. So thanks for sharing that content.
I appreciate you. That's what's up.
For sure. You've spoken publicly about the loss of your wife in the first marriage. How do you recover from something like that?
How do I, or how does one? Maybe kind of a different question, but if I had to give my take in what I've done, the main thing is that my faith is in Christ, and so I was very much committed to Christ before Jan passed, and it's what held me together to even start navigating to move forward. So what I did was, when it first happened, I definitely wanted to die. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be real and be honest about that. Because it was all of a sudden. It was within a week, that she had got diagnosed with COVID. And so and then we have 4 kids together. So I thought about them. So that was a help. And then also I have a mindset of fixing the problem. I can deal with the emotions at a different time, but the logic of things is that I got to get things done to make sure that my kids are good, right? And then I said, I don't know if this resonates with many people. I'm my wife will laugh. My current wife, she'll laugh at it when I tell her that I'm an athlete, right? So I think about it as, because I was an athlete. I didn't play collegiate or anything, but I played basketball since I was 7. And I don't know if you ever had an injury. And when you have an injury, if you don't start taking care of it immediately, then you're going to have some ramifications of it later. So I treated it like an injury. And I began to get counseling probably like 2 weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later. My kids were in counseling as well. And I went to group counseling, and I went to independent counseling. So I would go to group counseling on Wednesday nights, and then Thursday morning I would have independent counseling, and then that's why I started the podcast. I started that particular part of the podcast, which was vlogging.
Are you a content creator, YouTuber? Maybe you've interviewed someone on your video podcast and they said something that was really, really good, or maybe you said something that was really, really good. Well, enter Opus clips. This is the platform that I use when I want to share 30 to 60-second video clips that I can share with the whole world. I mean, you can share those clips on TikTok, you can share them on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram Reels, like these 30 to 60-second clips that Opus Clips can give to you with the click of a mouse. All you have to do is upload the recording and boom, Opus Clips within maybe 10 minutes will give you 15 to 25 different clips with description on the side of the video. And it also gives you like a title and it gives you a rating and let you know how powerful that clip can be used on social media, from a rating of 99 all the way down to maybe 60. This is a phenomenal platform that has took my social media marketing to another level. If you want to level up your social media game, go in the description below right now and get the link for Opus Clips. This will not disappoint you.
And because I vlogged, the reason why I vlogged is crazy. The reason why I vlogged, because I was like, God, there's no way you want me to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want nobody to think that I'm trying to monetize my experience. But God was like, who cares? Honestly, you've never really cared about what other people think. So why would you do that now? Right. And so I was doing it because a lot of people was asking me how was I feeling and how was my kids doing. And so I mean a lot. I used to go to a pretty big church and we were prominent in the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime I went, I'm getting stopped and can't even really get to where I need to get to, you know. So I started vlogging to let people know what was going on with me so they can know how to pray and then they wouldn't have to stop me so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost somewhat of a here's my wounds, here's how I feel. So you don't gotta worry about asking me. You go watch the video. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a long question, right? I mean, it's a simple question, but the process is not short. So it's long. That's why I'm giving you a long-winded version of what actually took place. And you're welcome to interject at any point. And so what happened as I'm transitioning, all those things happened, and I was in counseling maybe 3-4 months every week. And then also I had a really large support system, you know, from my kids were my support system. I had some homeboys that would check in on me. I even started talking to people that had experienced the same things that I did and seeing how did they navigate through losing their spouse. Some of them hadn't recovered, you know, but some of them had, and so I leaned on them. My counselor had lost his spouse 6 months prior to me losing mine.
Mm.
Think about that for a moment, right? He lost his spouse 6 months before I lost mine, and he helped me navigate how I would be feeling. He understood where I was at and when I was there and where I was going to be going. And that, I think, helped me tremendously because that was not planned other than God. And then I would say those are the main things. So counseling, independent counseling, group counseling, my kids, and vlogging, and just really kind of nursing the injury, right? I started working out. You know, I was at 190. I'm a little dude, but I was at 195, right? I started working out and I dropped down to 180. You know, and so I got back in the gym a little bit. So those things kind of helped my mind kind of get together. So I was still studying the Bible or reading. I did lose hope in God, but no, I won't say lose hope, but I was disappointed in God, and I was asking questions. So all of that man, you having me go back for real with just this one question. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna pause. I mean, so that's what I did. You know, and you asked a person that like to talk, opening the question like that.
So. Well, exactly why I have to have you on the show, because And I wish we would have got this earlier, maybe around the holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's that time, even still with it being a new year, you just never know what people are going through. I love the platform. I
for sure.
do appreciate the transparency through your process. 'Cause I think you had maybe four videos, maybe four or five videos, and I
You
just
talking
watched.
about the grief process?
Yes.
No, I had more than that.
I
I
had
had
more than
probably,
that.
yeah. I mean,
Oh,
they probably scattered, but I think I had about 12, 12 to 15
oh,
yeah, that I did, because I would do them at random times. It was just like, oh man, this feeling is bananas, like,
yeah.
and so I didn't have any consistency of it. It
Mhm.
was just like, okay, I think God is telling me I need to go now. There was a morning that I woke up and it was just worship songs on my heart. And so I just listened to the music while I'm telling people about what my emotions were. So it was yeah, so it was very therapeutic for a person that likes to talk.
Yeah, for sure. You talked about your raising four kids. What was that like for you to go through losing a spouse and then raise four kids?
Man, that's a phenomenal question. What was it like? It was mm, my initial response in the beginning was, I don't know what I'm going to do. That was my initial response. We homeschooled.
Mm,
So I'm in a panic to a degree, but God built me for a moment such as this, because I have been teaching in the public school system for like 11 years. So I had an idea of what it should look like. However, I'm having to deal with them losing their mom, right? So what it felt like was that I was not going to do a good job. That's what it felt like. But I knew that I needed to at least be at some space where I could help them navigate their journey, because theirs is harder than mine, in my estimation, because they can't get another mother, you know.
mm,
Um, and so what was it like? It was I was nervous, I was scared, I was frustrated, I was angry, a lot of negative emotions for sure was what it was like. And then it was also encouraging to see that how well equipped my late wife Jen had prepared them.
mm,
So because of how she had prepared them school wise, they wanted to start school. Like, she passed August 13th, 2021. School was going to be starting in two more weeks, right? She was, and they wanted to start school.
mm,
So I had to order books. Remember, we homeschool, so I had to order books. I had to make sure that everybody was on where they needed to go, and so it was very frantic at that time, to say the least.
mhm,
And but as things got through, it was very hard
mhm,
that first year. Um, and then within the first year, I met somebody, so it made it even harder, because here I have kids, and I'm trying to make sure that they're good. So I sent them to counseling as well, and they enjoyed that,
mhm,
um, because they got to talk to other people. But for them, they felt like they could be able to minister to others more
mhm,
so than others minister to them. Like, I got some dope kids.
That's
Probably some of the best on the planet for sure.
that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, I only can imagine. Oh my God. Um, you talked about meeting someone which you remarried. How did you know you were ready
Oh,
to
geez.
say I do again?
That's crazy. Okay.
I mean, this is,
Did you finish
Scared
your
to be
question?
married, right?
I felt like I knew where it was going. Did you get to finish your question?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay. How did I know that I was ready? Okay. Uh, in the beginning when I met, I didn't think that I was ready. I
Mm,
didn't think that I was ready. Because it was like 6 months, almost to the date,
mhm,
of when I had lost Jen, right?
mhm,
And what happened was that I knew that I was ready is because after 2 months or so, I began to feel this um wanting of companionship and being very frustrated that I was wanting this and feeling like a sense of betrayal, right?
mm,
What helped me, which most people will probably never have this happen, was that 4 months prior to Jen passing, we had just had a conversation about what it would look like if one of us was gone. Right. And we've having that conversation because of COVID. We didn't know what would happen, but if it happened, then we know where we're going. Like that was the conversation. But then she brought up the point of like, what would so would you want me to remarry if you pass away first? That was she asked me. And I said, no, of course not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can't do nothing about it, but you're asking me my thought process right now. Right.
right.
And she didn't laugh or nothing. She just at that moment, she said, well, I want you to remarry.
Mm,
Right there in that moment. She's like, I want you to remarry. And all I ask you is that she loves my kids.
mm,
She's like, that's it. I was like, really? I said, okay, well, that's dope. But then, I wasn't thinking that it would be anytime soon. So
mm,
that part helped me as well, right? Because she said the kids are going to need a mother.
mm,
That one of the things that me and Jen were doing were we were trying to set a precedent. Not like there hasn't been others, but we were purposeful in being a Black married couple that was homeschooling their kids, teaching them the Bible, educating them, and all the things that go along with that. And we were not pro-Black. We were just saying that Black people, y'all not marrying for whatever reason, but we can show y'all what we're doing.
mm,
You feel me? And so that part of her mindset, we had that in sync, right? And so she knew that I would probably need a wife. She knew that because I'm a husband.
mhm,
That's what I'm saying. That's how I operate. My mind works like that.
mhm,
And so how I know that I was ready was when I started talking to other women
mhm,
and I was enjoying their conversation. I was like, okay, cool. And I went out with a couple of women and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna fall back. Hey, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. I'm the type of guy gonna have to pay for dates. You know what I'm saying? Like that costs money. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And I could afford it, but I was like, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that. And so and then I meet her after, maybe like 2 or 3 days after, um 2 or 3 days after I said that. I had wrote down to God and I said, listen, this is the type of woman that I'm gonna need. I don't know when you're gonna provide her, but like I'm not gonna be able to find her. I'm not gonna be able to find her. And then my mentor, my counselor at the time, he was saying, listen, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a overlay of you loving Jen, and then you beginning to like this, like another woman. That's what he was telling me, right? I say, but that'll be a long time from now, though. Like, I ain't, He said, well, you don't know that.
yeah.
He said because God's timing is not our time, you know. And so I say, okay, cool. I'm listening to you, right? And so then I end, and so when I caught when we connected over Facebook, right? Over a controversial conversation that I had. Like I had wrote a post
Mm,
about what women wear. She responded. We talked 11 times throughout the thread. I said, would you like to talk? Hit in the back chat. She ghosted me for a day. Then I came back another day and I was like, hey, I thought you wanted to talk. She was like, cool. I said, you good right now? She's like, yeah, I'm good right now. We talked. And in the first conversation, I said, listen, I'm like not trying to be with you. Like I'm not trying to holler at you. And then I just want to have a really good conversation with a woman, with a beautiful woman. That's what it is. Women don't really understand that.
Right.
It's like, that's shallow. Okay. Okay, cool. That's shallow, but that's what it was because that's what I was used to and I couldn't find it. Think about it. Most people in general are not intellectuals.
Right. Very true.
Right.
Very true.
So I find someone that's able to dialogue with me through Facebook.
Impressive.
That's impressive, right? And so I had to talk. I said I had to talk to her. So and she was doing capital letters and periods and punctuations in her stuff, bro. Come on, man. People laugh at that, but that's how I was thinking.
Of course.
And I went to go check out her pictures. I said, oh, she's a nice looking lady. I said, oh, cool. And then because this is going on, how did I know? Went on a date with her, and it was just cool. I said, all right, what's up? But the first conversation was 4 hours. Second conversation was 3 hours. Still not thinking anything other than I just want to hang out with a beautiful woman. Third date, homie. I meet her and she's paying for the date. I remember, and we say hello. She gets up from the table, and it hit me. I was like, oh, I like this chick. Oh man, I began to like have somewhat of an anxiety, but still enjoying the moment. So that's when I knew that I was kind of ready because she was that different. Then I ain't talked to a lot of women, but I know men know what one look like, and they don't need a lot to figure out what it looked like. You feel me? If you've had one before, you know what it's gonna look like again. So that's when, and then when that there was a moment where there was an intertwining where I was like, I like her like that. That's when I knew that I was kind of ready. And I couldn't stop talking. And we talked every day from the first time we talked. We have not had a day that we had a conversation, even though we may have been upset at each other.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been one day that we haven't talked to each other. So that's when I knew. That's the long version.
Yeah, for sure. I met my wife on Instagram, so yeah, I get it. We played like tag where I liked her picture.
Like tag, yeah, we like each other photos.
Yeah, we liked each other pictures. Yeah, we went back and forth, and
that's what's up.
Yeah, and then that's when I was like, you know what? Okay, she liked a couple of my pictures. Okay, it's on because I like all of her pictures. I'm like, I'm about to shoot my shot because after four pictures,
yeah,
it's time to shoot
she's saying something. That's what's up. What was she in the same city?
No, I was in Arizona, and because I was finalizing my divorce, and she lived in Texas, so
wow,
we got together, dated long distance 6 months. We got married 6 months later. It took another 6 months until I relocated to Texas, though. So
wow. That's what's up, man. That's dope. So how did you know you was ready?
Oh, yeah, especially going through a divorce. Yeah, great question. That's right, because you produce content too, so you ask these kind of questions.
Yeah, I'm typically the moderator.
Yeah, right. She was similar to your situation because her and I would, and I'm dating myself. We were on Skype.
Whoa.
So yeah, I'm dating myself. And I would talk to her and say, hey, you want to have Bible study together? We can have Bible study on Wednesday nights or whatever. She was like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm down for it. So we start having Bible study together. We'll talk about, hey, we're going to be in the book of Ephesians, and then we'll read chapter 1, and then we'll talk about chapter 1 that night. And then we started reading books together. We started reading books on marriage, and we read
intellectual.
Yeah, intellectual. Read like 48 Laws of Power. I mean, we read all kind of books, and that intellectual piece, man, mental stimulation. Yes. And I'm 12 years older than her. And so at the time, I was 40 and she was 28.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, even to this day, on Tuesday nights, no, Monday nights, we have We read books together. We're reading a book on boundaries now. So we put the kids to bed, at 30, 45 minutes, we read together. Hey, what did you see in this chapter? We still do that. So
That's dope. I need to try to figure out how to do it. We reading the Bible together
mm,
right now. And we did it a couple times before, but we committed to reading through the Bible chronologically for the year.
mhm.
And we talk about, what's going on at that time. So we have been doing that. We do it independently, but
Yeah.
then we come together to talk about what it is that we read. So yeah, that's what's up, man. That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
How many kids you got?
Four, it's four total. So my wife had a son. He was three before we got together, and then my daughter from my previous marriage was 14 at the time. So and then we have two together.
That's what's up. Okay.
So the two we have together,
I
they
see your
both
ministry. I see where you at. Okay.
yeah, they have autism, man. So that's a story within itself.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
man,
I
it's,
got you.
that's
I see where you at. Um, because how my content started was that I was interviewing dads.
I seen that.
Yeah, and I've interviewed over 100 dads, right? And so they actually made me better when I interviewed them. And then I end up transitioning to I transitioned from doing that content with dads to doing panels because I was on a panel. And it seemed to be the thing at the time. So, but yeah, I enjoy talking to the dudes that have that dad experience for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I was on your page. I was like, man, he had Show Baraka on. I said, Show was one of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah. When I was in a Christian rap group for about 5 to 7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And we opened up for we did stuff with Show. No, was he in the group at the time? We definitely did stuff with Lecrae. And
Hey,
so yeah, so I had reached out to him when he was doing the book or whatever.
yeah.
I interviewed R. Swift. I interviewed
Oh,
Ruslan.
yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed Ruslan before he was at 30,000,
Mhm.
35,000 when I
Yeah.
interviewed him. So
Wow.
yeah, I interviewed some heavyweights for sure.
That's what's up, man. I'm not on your level yet. I'm working on it though. So
Listen, I'm not on other people's level. Don't let me be the standard. You know what I'm saying?
no, it's all good. I want to do this bonus round. There's no wrong answer. This is the section where we just kicking it.
I bet I'm down with that.
All right. So what's the biggest mistake you see husbands make in marriage?
The biggest mistake that I see that husband make in marriage is understanding that it's a union, it's a covenant, right? That the woman is the weaker vessel. So because she's the weaker vessel, you're not going to be able to operate with her like you would one of your boys. She's not a man, you know what I'm saying? So you have to speak to her like she's a woman, just like you have to speak to your kids like they're kids, right? And so I think that's the biggest thing that I see is that men miss out on understanding that weaker vessel just means that uh they need you to be their emotional stability as well as their support system, right? Not that they're weaker in like mental ability, but just saying you're supposed to operate as a spiritual leader for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's the biggest thing, that they don't operate as a spiritual leader. They try to they would prefer that she be okay with going to church but not him, or
Yeah.
her doing Bible study but not him, right? That's what I see, especially in this space. I
Mhm.
want her to be submissive, but I don't submit to nobody.
Right.
So then how do you know what submission is supposed to look like if you're not submitting to nobody? And I would talk to dudes. I said, even dudes that are not Christian, but in another denomination or faith, I would say, or doctrine, their gods tell them that they need to be submitting to God.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's
Mhm.
Islam, Buddhist, Muslim, I mean, Scientology, probably, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
all of them say that you need to be serving a God so that you can see what that looks like behind you. A great leader knows how to follow when needed. A great leader means that he knows how to delegate when needed, right? So I think that's what's missing. Dudes want what it is that they're not being.
That's good. Yeah, I post I posted on Twitter the other day. I said, everybody want to be Black Panther until it's time to do what's best for Wakanda.
That's what's up. That's a very good connection. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fact. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah. From seeing your parents' relationship, what did it teach you about marriage?
That I didn't want to be married. I grew up in a single parent household. I mean, my mom and dad were married. I think she may have been 19. I think he was like 20. Excuse me, I think he was like 23 or something like that. And they got a divorce when I was 4. So I remember negative things about them being married, and so and then uh, and then my mom got remarried, my dad got remarried, and none of it looked appealing. Then I had aunts and uncles. I have a lot of aunts and uncles, and only one of their marriages even seemed like it was something to even look forward to. So what it taught me was that's not a good end goal. But not until, I don't know if this is your next question, but not until I started, I don't know what happened. Oh no, it was crazy. Though I had a light bulb moment around the time that I was dating Jen, and I was like, man, I want to be married. I was like, but that was the struggle. I was like, I don't know if it's you though. And I said, I can't keep you here. Can't keep you here, and I'm not sure it's you. But I knew that I wanted to have kids, and I knew that I did not want to I wanted to be married and having kids. Like I knew that. So that is what sparked me to want to even be open to doing it. You know what I'm saying? So if it had not been for it had to be God, because it just came from nowhere, because I didn't see any good ones. What about you?
That's real. My parents, oh my God, I didn't see a healthy relationship with them. They they'd be fighting. My dad, he was married, so he was in between two households. Uh, I had to raise my little sister, my mom working full time, so I was the little man of the house. So it was like I really didn't get to see. I mean, it's 4 of us total. I didn't get to see what a healthy marriage looked like until I saw my brother get married.
Okay.
And when my brother got married, he's let me say I'm 46. He's around 6 years older than me. That's when I was like, oh, this is cool. I want one woman that I can build with. And he set that first example. And then when I gave my life to Christ, my pastor, I seen him and his wife. Then that's when I was like, yeah, I want to do this.
It is about those examples though, right? So that's why, like, right now, even with Kendra, and my current wife, like, I was like, listen, when it came to the point in time to be ready to be married to her, that was God saying, listen, this is the one. This you it was crazy how that happened, but I needed to be ready for her, because I had to be her husband. You know what I mean? I had to be her husband. And that so I think being married we was married for 14 years. We had been together like 20. And having some ideas of being a husband then is somewhat helpful, but then at the same time is not.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
No, I get it, because there's a question I do want to ask you. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, so it was like, okay, how did I do that? Because I'm having to start over, and I have a different personality now because I have grief, right? And I have 4 kids that are grieving, right? And at the time I was getting my doctorate degree, right? And so it's like, and I'm homeschooling my kids, and I'm having to make sure that everybody gets to where they need to get to. And so I was doing a lot.
Wow.
And then, going to see her, trying to make sure that I build that relationship, you know. So it was important to me though that I get out of the streets and hear God to be like, okay, you need to make her a wife. But I was scared, you know what I'm saying, because of what they say about the streets. That women will play you until and to get what it is that they want, and then they'll leave you.
Yeah.
So that even though I had a good marriage before, looking forward, what everybody was saying was that you weren't gonna have one. So that was a part of the nervousness moving forward though.
Yeah, understood. Is who makes a better spouse? Someone who's never been married or someone who's been through a divorce and they're trying this thing again? Who makes the better spouse if you had to choose?
That's it. I like those type of questions. That it depends because of the variables. I would say the one who wants it the most. So if the single person objective is marriage because there's a duty involved in being married, and I'm going to fulfill my duty based on what God says is my duty, and I'm willing to serve the other person. I'm willing to serve that person. And knowing that there's going to be trials and tribulations that come along with that. And that's even with bad examples, right? But if I'm focused on how God operates as it relates to the scripture and being a husband or being a wife, then I would say that person is going to be better than the individual that had a divorce, because their perspective of marriage is one of turmoil more than likely because they got a divorce. However, if I flip it, I can say, well, this person that got a divorce, they learned their lesson. They saw what they did wrong. Not so much about what the other person did wrong, but they recognized what they did wrong. And they can say, you know what, I went to therapy and I see, and I'm in my word, and I can, like, it's important to operate from the position of the word because God designed marriage. Nobody else did. So if I'm able to go to the creator, right, and say, how should I operate in my marriage? And how do I be a husband? I want to be a husband. I want to be a wife. So help me do that. Then I would say the experience of the divorced person saying that I see the mistakes I made, I'm not going to make those, or I'm going to adjust my behavior. There are some things that I did do well, but there are some things I can say I didn't do well. At least I have that to look back up on, right? Like for me, even though I wasn't divorced, I lost somebody. Yeah. I'm coming from that the marriage was good, but I also see my flaws. That I see what I needed to work on, what I missed in that one, that I could now be over here, right? Yeah. So you may not ask this question, but I'm gonna answer the question that you should ask. If you do it, you're gonna ask it, right? I think that I'm a better husband now than I was to Jen, and Jen felt like, in her own words, that she was lucky to have me, right? And the reason why I would say that I'm a better husband now is because I can see what service needs to look like for, I'm very, I pay more attention to service, even though I was serving Jen. I paid more attention to how I can serve Kendra, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the person that has the experience and uses the experience to their advantage would be better equipped to be married again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you feel me?
Yeah.
The person that has never been married before, though, their desire to say, I'm going to hang in regardless of the tough times. They could have also got great counseling. They could have had seen a good marriage before. They could have went to talk to people. They could have went to go, get the independent counseling for themselves. They may be more well equipped because they don't have the toxicity
Mm-hmm.
of a failed union.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So that's why I would say it's determined by the willingness of the individual who would be better.
That's good.
No, that sounds like a playing it safe type of situation, though.
Yeah, for sure. Is it?
But I would personally say that it's that person. But I would say if I didn't have any of those caveats,
Yeah.
I would say the person that has never been married before.
Got you. Yeah, my therapist, my marriage therapist told me to in my journal that every day you write down, what did I do to wow Clarissa? That's my wife name. What did you do to wow her today?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So,
Like that.
it keeps me on my toes, keep my head on the swivel.
So what did you do today to wow her?
I got the boys, my kids, I got their clothes ready for therapy tomorrow. She usually does that. I wash and fold the clothes. I just put them up. So for her,
Yeah.
it's like that's just one less thing she has to do because she packed the boys, she get the boys' clothes ready at night.
Okay.
So when she come home, she's at Bible study now. So when she come home, she see the boys' clothes laid out already. That's one less thing she has to do. So uh that's my wow for today.
Hey, listen, that is a wow when you take something off their plate.
Exactly. Is it easier to love yourself or someone else?
I like these type of questions. Is it easier to love yourself or to love someone else? I think it's easier to love yourself. I mean, we selfish creatures. You know what I'm saying? We prioritize ourselves more times than not. We would like to say that we don't, but we think about ourselves first, which is not bad. I mean, if you're not well, then it doesn't matter. If you're not well, how can you help others? You know what I'm saying? So I would say yourself for sure.
Mm-hmm. Last question. What's the
Oh,
best?
so fast. Last question. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No worries.
Uh, yeah, because I'm gonna have to bring you back for another segment because there's if I get started on the next one, we'll be here for 4 hours if I get started on the next one because
Okay,
there's some
you said
stuff I
I
got.
talk a lot. I got you. That's true. Go ahead. You can ask the last question. I'll give a Twitter version.
I'll bring you back for a part two.
Mhm.
Uh, what is the best part about being you?
The best part of being me
Mm-hmm.
is that I know God look out for me for real.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I've known that to a degree, but at the beginning of this year, I had a moment where I was listening to Tabitha Brown and she was giving her synopsis over the past 6 years or something like that. And it made me reflect on the things that God has allowed me to go through and to also to maneuver through as well. Right. So Jen is losing Jen is the hardest thing, but I've had other failures, if you will, along my journey that I was able to see how he got me over those hills, right? So, and then my name is Elijah. My first name is Elijah. My middle name is Emmanuel, right? You know what I'm saying? So, like for those that don't, Emmanuel means God with us, right? And I want to say Elijah is the Lord it's not Yahweh, it's Jehovah. The Lord is Jehovah. I think that's what that means. and or Jehovah is Lord. Jehovah is Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And so those connected together, and I even choose my name, right? But my parents, my dad, he saw something, or he listened to. Either way, it allowed me to see that God got me. And that's one of the best parts of being me. And also that I know how to get through hard times. I know how to get through hard times. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. Matter of fact, my son told me, because I talk to my kids. I don't know how you talk to your kids, but I think every dad should have like those real good conversations.
Yeah.
Just sit down. If you don't know what to ask, go ahead and Google questions to ask your kids. Okay. Right. That'll give you somewhere to start. So one of the questions I asked all of them is, what do they see in me? Right? What do they see in me? Or better yet, I said, what do you see in me that's in you? What do you see in me that you see in you? And I have 4. There's Gianna, she's 14, Joshua's 12, Ethan's 9, about to be 10 in a few weeks, and Jordana's 5. And Joshua said, determination. I said, yeah, because he is that for sure. Like, I would say that about him.
My son named Joshua too.
What?
Yeah, my son named Joshua too.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Great minds think alike. But anyway.
Great minds think alike. And it is an ordinary name too, but it's a dope name.
Yeah, right.
That's that. So when he told me that, that helped me see that he's watching how I move through life. And when I asked him, why does he see me? What makes him see me as determined? He said, you lost mommy and you was able to find you a new wife. He said, I see that as determination. And you're raising us.
Wow. Man, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's how you end a segment right there. I want to, Dr. Glenn, I want to acknowledge you for sharing your testimony to the world, your experience and your loss, and going through it in real time and sharing it with the world, which takes a lot of courage, and to be as transparent as you were. And even still is to this day. So I want to acknowledge you for that. I want to acknowledge you for opening up your heart again and to say yes to love again, and to continue to be an example for your family. And I want to acknowledge you for your platform as well, for doing the whole humble dad thing, which is awesome. Had a chance to be on your platform as well. Great conversation pieces. So I want to acknowledge you for those things. Let everyone know how they can get in touch with you. Tell us about the podcast, the YouTube channel. Tell us about everything, the clothing line, everything.
For sure. As far as the clothing line, you can go to humbledad.life. As far as the podcast, we're on Monday nights, Facebook, YouTube, and it's on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the topics that we talk about are centered around being marriage minded, and our conversations are always professional, genuine, and even when there's a disagreement, it is done in a very I guess a solid demeanor. You know what I'm saying? There's no, I don't allow the attacking and things of that nature. But I mean, if you're gonna disagree, you're gonna have to be able to stand your ground, because I'm not coming to save you.
Yeah.
I'm not coming to save you, and I'm not gonna let anybody else come and save you. If you make a statement, you got to be ready to defend your statement. And so that's the type of platform that I have and that I'm building, and that I'm trying to help make sure that other people see that you can have a healthy dialogue and disagree and still build. So, that's what it is. And you can find me on all platforms as it relates to Instagram. It's Humble Dad Legacy. YouTube is Humble Dad. And then on Facebook, it's Elijah. But main places are Instagram and YouTube.
Today's topic, we're going to address men's fashion, what to wear to keep them interested. This is going to be a good one. I want to introduce our guest today. You are in for a treat. Our guest is a husband, a father. He's a pharmacist. He was selected as one of the fathers featured on coolcleveland.com on Father's Day and how they dress. There was a fashion tip that he left on that website that I thought was phenomenal that any man can take away from this, or a woman. He says to always insert your personality into your style. It's not just about what you wear that makes you look good, but how you carry yourself, from your smile to your demeanor to being approachable. Your personality helps you stand out and be more memorable to everyone that you encounter. I love that. He also has a YouTube channel, the Dapper Aristocrat, which has more than 4,000 subscribers and counting, where he discusses clothes, shoes, accessories, and more that will help you continue to be a gentleman and stay dapper at all times. He also dropped a line of soap called Oh So Dapper Soap Company, and I have my my bar as well. But we'll talk about that. So I thought that was amazing. We can go on and on. Bravehearts community, welcome Steve Arnold, aka the Dapper Aristocrat, my brother-in-law. What's up, Steve?
What's going on, man? How's everything?
Man, I'm doing great. I finally got a chance to get you on the pod. I see you've been doing your thing, man, and killing the game on social media. So yeah, I want to talk about what to wear to keep them interested.
Okay.
All right. Now, let's jump into this. What will you tell men to wear during the dating phase?
So when you're dating somebody, I will recommend that you stay true to yourself. So when I say that, what I mean is don't go and try to do something you typically don't do. Just continue to do what you normally do. But at the same time, you still want to put some effort into it. So you still want to wear pieces that you normally wear, but if you want to jazz it up, maybe get something newer, add in newer pieces, but always stay true to yourself. But at the same time, you definitely want to make sure your grooming is up to par. You want to make sure your beard is lined up, nice and oiled. You want to make sure you got that crisp lineup. You got locks, make sure they retwisted nicely and neat. You want to make sure all the basics, like brush your teeth, make sure you smell good, put on that nice cologne. You just want to make sure you look fresh and clean. You want to put forth your best self. Because, when you dating somebody, it's kind of like an interview. They don't know who you are, so you got to put forth your best self. You don't go to interviews with a t-shirt and jeans. You go to an interview with a suit, and you want them to take you serious and know that you take this serious. So that's what guys should do. But it kind of depends on the setting as well. So like if you're doing something casual, dress casual. If your lady or your the person you're dating, or even your wife, if she wants to want you to scale it up, then scale it up. You just got to have the pieces to do it.
That's what's up. I agree, because with men, our looks vary. Like you said, I'm glad you're talking about the twist and things of that nature, and the way you look overall. Because sometimes I hear sisters, and I heard a lady on the podcast not too long ago. She was talking about how some guys, they just don't care how they look. They just like, take me as I am. And she's thinking, you're not going to try to impress me. You know what I'm saying? Like, no.
It's not fair. Like, because think about it. Women do all this stuff and they look amazing. They put on makeup, they got on perfume, they buy accessories, they buy that nice dress, they get shoes, they do a lot. For you not to show any effort like that, you got to level it up. You can't just, even if you've been married for umpteen years. I've been married for 9 years. I've been with my wife for over 10 years, but I always, keep it fresh. I don't know what it's like to not put any effort in, because that's just what I do. She always anything like I bring in the house, regarding to clothing or something like that. She look at it and be like, "Oh, how he gonna pull that off?" But she always confident that I'm gonna pull it off. Like I'm always experimenting, doing new things, You know, I might see a pair of shoes and I'm like, I like that. It might be out of my norm, but I do it and it looks nice. So it's just fun. Yeah.
Mhm. I like you said that coming out, breaking the norm. That's dope because I will be transparent for a minute. And I've said this on a podcast before. When I first met my wife, she was looking at me like, nah, that's not gonna work, bruh. She was like, nah, you gotta. She had a whole new wardrobe for me.
I remember seeing that too. He was posting pictures, and I was like, "That dude looks sharp, man. He was looking good, man."
Yeah, thanks. Because I went through a divorce, and obviously, my ex-wife was older, but now I married someone who's younger, so she's a little more into the fashion and style thing, and I'm older, so I think I was somewhat in a time machine. And she's like, yeah, it's at the time, it's 2017. That's not gonna cut it. And I thought I was live, but obviously she didn't.
Yeah, that's how it is sometimes. Women like to see their men look great, so they gonna do whatever it takes for you to do that. But as for me, like every guy is different, like me, I'm the type of guy, I like to put forth effort. Not saying that other guys don't.
Right.
It's just fun to me. But some guys, this just not really something that they do, like we talk about fashion. Fashion is more about, clothing, trends, but style is more something that evolves over time. So it's just stuff that you learn, things you pick up, things that you experiment with. That's basically what style is. Style is more important than fashion in my eyes, because style represents who you are and what you wear, and you carrying yourself and how your personality is. Like you said earlier, your smile, the way you carry yourself. It don't matter if you edgy or if you're a nice guy. Whatever it is, it has to do with your style. So, clothing plays a part in it, but it's mostly everything all in one to me.
Yeah. So you said there's a difference between style and fashion.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a good distinction. That's good to know, because some people are just really trendy,
right?
Opposed to, so they kind of trying to fit into something that might not really be them, but it's just like it's trendy,
right? See, the thing with trends is that they don't stick around for long. You don't know how long they're gonna be here, So I'm trying to think of, I can't think of nothing that was trending. Like the dad jeans was a trend. Big bulky sneakers is a trend. It's something that's still going even now, but that wasn't something that people were wearing, maybe about 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It's a trend. But the thing about trends is, like, if you're into that, you just gotta kind of spend money wisely. Like, instead of buying, like, spending a whole bunch of money on trends, go to places that are more affordable, where when that trend ends, you don't feel bad about it afterwards. You spend all this money on these shoes and you like, dang, I done spent like $200-300 on these sneakers, and now I can't even wear them no more. And I can't sell them because it's not the trend anymore. So just stuck with it. So for me, I say guys should mix it up. You can go with trendy stuff, just don't buy expensive trendy stuff, but then stick with the classic stuff that's gonna stay around forever. That's what I usually do. I get trendy sometimes, like like I bought a pair of Yeezys just probably like a couple, like a month ago, and I love them, but I know they're not gonna be around forever, but I like them a lot. So, but it's good to have a good balance of both.
For sure. That's what's up, man. You dropping gems already. You helping some people today.
What's up, man?
What kind of attire would you suggest for men who is married, and does your attire change when you get married?
Yeah, so I guess I could speak for myself. For me, like I was saying, style evolves. So when I first met my wife, I was wearing polos. I was wearing I was wearing baggy jeans. I was wearing a lot of sneakers. I was wearing ball caps and stuff like that. And as I got older, things just started evolving for me. Like I started looking at other guys and I like how they dress. So I was like, oh, let me try that out. Let me test that out. And so I would test it and then stick around. But you know, it's just something that's constantly evolving. You just want to always keep it fresh and keep it new, you know, continue to experiment because you know our wives benefit from us dressing nice. Our spouses, our girlfriends, or whoever we're dating, they benefit from it. But at the end of the day, you know, what you wear is basically for you, because when you put on these clothes and you get dressed, it gives you a level of confidence. You know, when I dress up and look nice, it gives me a level of confidence. So whether I'm at work, whether I'm shopping at the grocery store, whether I'm, you know, at church or whatever I'm doing, I'm more confident because I know I look nice and I get compliments from it. So that makes you get, it builds your confidence up, you know. So I think that as a married guy, you got to keep it fresh, you know, continue to experiment. If it works, then it works. If it doesn't work, then it's okay, you know. But when it works, you just stick with it and you keep building on it. But it kind of varies. It's, you know, it's based on what you like. It's all about what you're into and what makes you feel confident. And if you're confident in it, then your spouse, your wife, you know, your girlfriend, she'll like it too. That's what I think. But I mean, I could go more into detail, but it I really can't because it kind of depends on it's individualized. So like for me, I might want to wear like what I have on right now. But for someone else, they might be like, oh, I don't really like suits. I don't like blazers, you know. It varies. So just continue to evolve and, you know, get your wife's feedback. If she say, oh, I'd like that, then do it again, you know. But always add something new to it. That's what I recommend.
That's
Yeah.
what's up, man. And I guess I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but because I was going to ask about your age as far as when you first met my sister, opposed to how old you are now, if you don't mind sharing. But I guess that's the next question: is there such a thing as dressing for your age? And how can I not look like a pawpaw? You know what I'm saying?
So
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a really good question. Like you mentioned earlier, I have a YouTube channel, and being in a men's fashion niche, it's a lot of us that kind of, you know, we teach the same stuff. So some of us, a lot of us, yeah, your age, your style and your age, it definitely matters. Because for example, like I'll be at work and I'll see like a 60-some-year-old man. He got on Jordan 11s. I'm like, bro, what you doing? You know, it just doesn't look right, you know. So it's certain things that at a certain age you just gotta kind of let go of. And it's kind of interesting because our generation now, we're a sneaker generation, you know. We the guys, we were wearing Jordan 1s, we was wearing, you know, Yeezys, you know, we wearing Air Maxes, foam posits, you know, we wearing all of that. And so as time goes, you know, even now, like they bring those shoes back. Some of these shoes are our favorites. So, you know, when I turn 50, I don't know, I might pick up a pair of Air Max or whatever if they like my favorite, but I don't know. It's kind of how you rock it or whatever. But yeah, I believe that at a certain age, there's certain things that a man should have. For example, when you're 20 years old, you know, 25, you should at least have at least one suit in your wardrobe. Only reason why I say that is because, you know, you got to have an interview. You know, if you're looking for a job, you want to be dressed appropriately. You want people to take you serious. You want them to know that you want this job. So I know on my side in pharmacy, I've been a manager, and I kind of, you know, gauge people on how they look as well. But I've also been somebody that has gone to an interview, and I want to present myself as someone that cares about the position. Like I really want this job. So you have to present yourself and look in that manner, you know. So every guy needs a suit, and it could just be one, you know, just let it be a versatile suit, like a navy blue suit or a gray suit. So you could wear that to a wedding, you could wear that on an interview, you could wear that when your wife wants to go out to the nice restaurant, but she wants you to jazzy it up, wear a shirt and tie and suit. You can wear that with anything. But even though it's just one suit, you could change it up a lot of different ways. Change the shirt up, change the tie up, put a hanky on there. Don't wear a tie, wear a bow tie, wear a different pair of shoes. It varies. But at the same time, another thing I noticed is that Younger guys, they don't carry wallets either. They pull out a stack of money and you be like, where's your wallet?
Yeah.
You carrying a credit card, your ID got to be in your pocket. You don't want to lose it. You just want to keep everything together.
Mhm.
So there's certain things that a man should have at a certain age.
I agree. Do you because my wife, she just got me on to scarves. Like we went to the Burberry store the other day and she's like, I gotta have scarves. So we got scarves. I got a blue one, she got a brown one. But it's something new to me because I'm not like a big scarf guy. But
Right.
when I seen it, put it on, I'm like, oh, okay, this is something that I can rock. Like it helps me feel a little more mature.
Yeah.
So like you say about putting in the new pieces and stuff like that. And then how do you feel about wallets? Like, do you have any I don't want to say like name brand because they're not paying us like name brand wallets. I don't know, but do you care about like your wallet game? Like, would you get like a Coach wallet or I don't know, some name
So
brand?
I do own a Coach wallet, and but I got that wallet probably like 7-8 years ago, something like that. But I don't carry it anymore. I got a story about that wallet, but I won't share it. But
You don't want to share the story?
I mean, yeah, so the good thing about Coach is like, I got mine from the Coach outlet, and then it started showing some wear. So I took it back and I was like, hey, like this wallet is showing some wear. This is, this shouldn't be happening. They gave me a new wallet. I ain't had to pay for it. So I thought that was cool. So I still have it, and it still looks good, but I don't carry it because it's too bulky and my style is more slim. So with that wallet and me having a slim aesthetic with my clothes, especially with my pants, I don't want my wallet, a bulky wallet in my pocket. It doesn't look good. So I go with a slim wallet. Now the slim wallet is from a company called Forrest and Harold. And I found out about this brand. I don't know. I forgot. I think, I know. I saw a customer in the pharmacy and he had a wallet. And I was like, oh, that's a nice wallet. And he's like, yeah, I got it from this brand. So I looked them up and I bought one. So it's very slim. It's very minimal. You can't carry a whole bunch of stuff in it. And so I like that wallet a lot. And that's the wallet that I carry.
So they are, because you're getting me onto some game too. So they are like sizable wallets where there's a slimmer. Interesting.
Yeah, but the only thing is that if you go that route, you have to take some of that stuff out. Cause like me, I was used to carrying like all these cards, gift cards, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those loyalty cards that you get from different stores. I was carrying that. I even had like the letter my wife wrote me when we got married. I had that in there because it's still in there. I make sure that I know where it is because it's very important to me. But I kept that in there. But going down to the slimmer wallet, I had to take a lot of I had to leave some of that stuff out. So I had to go with like stuff that's necessities, like cards that I use every day, my ID, and then not keeping all the gift cards, just keep cards that I use, like a Starbucks gift card. You might use that once a week, so you carry that. Or if you go to the airport, they got a Starbucks in there. You got it. You don't have to spend your money. So yeah.
Man, that's some stuff. Yeah, you schooling me on some stuff too. That's why I got you on the show. So I need this for myself as well. Men's clothing is expensive. How can I still look good without breaking the bank?
Man, so it's so much stuff you can do. One, I say, I'll kind of I'll break it down a little bit. So one thing you could do is you can go thrifting. Like a lot of guys don't really take advantage of thrifting. I don't know. I think it's mainly our mindsets. But a lot of times you could find some pieces like this jacket here is originally from H&M, but I got this from the thrift store. It was
really
$9.99. Yes, $9.99, and I got it on a holiday, so it's half off on the holiday. So I'll probably end up spending like $4.99 on this jacket, and it's
nice. That's so nice.
What'd you say?
No, I said that's nice.
Yeah, thanks. It's cool. I like it. This is probably something that would probably be like $99 at H&M. I would guess. I don't know specifically, but I bought it for $4.99 at the thrift store. So sometimes you could find some stuff. I shop at the thrift store during the holidays because it's always half off. So I try to go to the thrift store then. I don't utilize that tip a lot, but I do occasionally shop there. But yeah, like, and even like with jackets like this, you can always get them tailored. And when you get jackets tailored, it's gonna cost you a little bit of money, but you're gonna be looking nice if you if you go that route. But spending $4.99 and then taking it to the tailor and getting it tailored, you might spend like maybe $20-$30 to get the jacket taken up, maybe, and get this to be slim to fit your aesthetic, you know. But thrift store is one thing. You can if you got favorite brands that you like, but they might be expensive. Like for me, I like J. Crew, I like Banana Republic, you know, they really expensive. So one thing I do sometimes is I shop the clearance rack. First place you go, check out them clearance racks, see what they have, you know. I also subscribe to their email list, so when things go on sale, that they send me an email, so that it'd be hard sometimes because there'd be a sale and I'm like, I know I shouldn't be buying nothing, but I still go check it out anyway. It'd be crazy. But so I do that, shop the clearance racks. I also shop at outlets because like the same brands that you like, they have outlet stores as well. So I shop the outlets, and sometimes that stuff be like 50% off. I'm still into sneakers a little bit. So I bought a pair of Adidas Ultra Boosts from an outlet store. They like $180. I went to the outlet. I got 50% off those sneakers.
Wow.
So yeah. So sometimes you could find good stuff in outlet stores, you know. So that's another route. Then you could try other stores. Like there's another store, it's called ASOS. It's more of a web-based store. They got different ranges to like your cheap clothes to like maybe the higher tier.
Yeah.
But they're pretty affordable, and they make clothes for different body types. So you could be skinny guy, you could be average muscular, you could be like a guy that got a little spare tire like me, you know what I'm saying? That's a good place to go. Even like heavier guys, they make stuff for heavier guys too. Another brand, other places that people typically don't think about is like Target and Walmart. Like I shop at Target a lot. I had to scale back because I was doing too much in there. But one thing I like about Target, I love their chinos. They got different colors. I like the way they fit. They got different fits to your slim, to your classic, to regular, to like guys that's a little heavier, the athletic fit. You know, you can find a lot of good stuff in Target. And Walmart, I've never shopped there before, but from what I understand, they've scaled up on their clothing there. And I'm thinking about checking it out one day. So I'll probably do that. My wife told me I should do a video on it, so I might do that. But yeah, and so that's typically what I do to kind of save some money.
Well, I'll be looking forward to that video because I heard that Walmart they've been making some changes as well, trying to make a little come up because Target got good stuff too. They got some quality stuff.
Yeah, they do.
I think some people kind of sleep on it because this is like, oh, like it's Target. You think of Target for other things, not so much as far as clothes. Right. Like that's the first thing on your list, you know.
Right.
Like, so yeah, but they got some good. And then I like t-shirts too. I like the vintage t-shirts. I'm always like today, I had on my Boondocks t-shirt. Like I just like.
Gotta rep for the Boondocks, man.
Yeah, right. And I seen a lady today. She was like, "I love your shirt." I was like, "Oh, you Boondocks head, huh?"
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, I would look forward to that video. And also I want to make sure that everybody go check out your video, but we'll get that information from you at the end of the show. And then there's something I wanted to talk about too, because I think one of the reasons why I want to bring you on the show is because sometimes we can get caught up in our marriages or in our relationships. We've been with a person for X amount of years, and we just we either get frumpy or we don't prioritize our fashion and style like we should. And I do think when you're wearing something nice, you're like, oh, you look good in that, you know, or, you know, you're just doing something a little different to kind of, I guess, spice it up a little bit when you're going out, you know, because you get used to just maybe going to fast food places or different little places, but taking that necessary time to get dressed up and still impress your spouse or your significant other. I think that's real important, man. Because my wife was telling me the other day, she's like, you really look good in that. And I was like, oh, okay. And that encourages me to constantly keep my game on point.
Right. Yeah, you gotta keep it fresh, and you gotta always put effort into it. It's so when you're married to somebody for a long period of time, it's so easy to kind of get lazy and just kind of be like, let me throw on this Emmitt Smith jersey and these sweatpants and go ahead out to this happy hour. Like that's easy,
Some
but
flip flops and socks.
yeah, little flip flops and socks and your shorts, you look little basketball shorts. Like it's so easy. As men, we do that all the time. I don't know why we do that, but like I see that a lot. Like I'll go to a restaurant and I see a guy wearing a Cavs jersey, and then I see his lady looking all nice, like she just got off for work, and I'd be like, bro, what are you doing? So you just gotta put some effort in. It's not hard. It could be fun,
Yeah.
Like I have fun with it because like I say, I shop all the time. But just buying different pieces and being like, oh, I could wear those pants with that jacket or wear that with this shirt. It's just fun to me. And then having a variety of shoes and stuff, whether you got dress shoes, sneakers, or boots, you can always change it up like that. You can't forget accessories like hats and jewelry and bracelets and stuff like that. Even like with jackets, like wearing lapel pins and stuff like that. You just gotta keep it consistent. I mean, keep it fresh, basically.
Yeah.
And it's kind of challenging because a lot of people, as you get married, things change. You might get on a budget. You might have to, you might come up on some money. Maybe you got a bonus or whatever. You ain't got to spend the whole bonus on a couple pieces, but maybe take like 10 or 20% of that bonus and get you something nice. That's what I sometimes do, but
Yeah.
it kind of everybody's situation varies, but like there's so many things you could do to keep it fresh. Like if you can go to the thrift store, like I said, $4.99 jacket. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think some of that maybe also have to, at least from what I've seen, is like demographically depending on where you're going in the thrift store. Like if you go in certain neighborhoods, they thrift store they might go hard on a thrift store because they got all kind of nice stuff. You're like, oh, I'm in this neighborhood. I know that's how it was when I was in Arizona, when I went to like the Scottsdale, places that, they like, oh, they had nice stuff out there.
Yeah. Sometimes you go to certain stores and, you be like, oh, this ain't hitting. Then you go to it, like you said, different neighborhood. You be like, oh yeah, I found like 3 or 4 pieces in there, Yeah, but yeah, it takes some time though. Like it takes some time, but once you do it, you kind of know where to go. I know for guys, we like to go in the store, get what we want, and leave out. Women don't do that. They like to go look around, spend like an hour or so. Some women are like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I know sometimes I could be like that. Like I'm trying to get this, and then I'm trying to head out. But it's good to kind of like know where to go. Check out ask people for recommendations where they shop at, especially if they're a thrifter. What thrift stores do you go to and find nice pieces? Ask around. Then you can save yourself some time.
Yeah, for sure. I just thought about this question. Should a man who should have more clothes in their closet, men or women?
Man, that's a good question. Like in my household, I got more clothes than my wife because that's just how we get down. My wife is kind of like she kind of like a minimalist a little bit, but sometimes if she sees something she like it, she pick it up. Versus me, like I just want to be prepared at all times. So like if she be like, oh, we got this wedding going on this week, I'm always ready. So I don't have to go to the store and go shopping because for some people it could be frustrating, trying to get dressed for an event, the week of or a couple days of. I don't have to do that. I already be like, okay, I'm gonna wear this, so maybe I'll buy a new shirt and tie and put it with that. That just happened like a couple weeks ago. So but with her, sometimes she have to go and find a new piece, and sometimes it can be frustrating for her. She'd be, I'm like, yeah, you gotta keep going, or you just gotta, kind of build your wardrobe, have these pieces, and be able to, switch them out, But I don't know. I think it varies. It depends on your relationship. Like some people I know, they they wives got a lot of clothes, and the guy, they minimal. They don't really like doing all that shopping for real. So, it kind of varies. But I mean, every marriage is different. That's how we are here. Yeah.
No, I hear you because I really wasn't a big clothes guy. I kind of had just a minimal kind of mindset.
Right.
And then, my wife's just like always like you said, these pieces, you might need this for this occasion. You might need that for that occasion. And I do see the benefit of it because like you said, you can always be ready opposed to because my wife and I, we went to a couples retreat last weekend in Houston. And some of the couples that we were talking to, they was like, we had a gala that night. So they like, oh, I got to go and get something for tonight. So they had to break what they were doing and then go and pick something out for that night, opposed to already having everything ready.
Right. Yeah. So, but then you know how people are. Some people thrive in situations like that. Like, oh, it's the last minute. It's when I thrive the most. Or some people it just don't work out like that. Like that's how I am. I don't. So it depends on what it is. Some things I thrive at the last minute. Some things I don't, and that's just one of those things. Like I like to be as creative as possible, but it kind of take me some time because I got to think it up. But sometimes I can have a piece and my wife would be like, oh, we got this going on. I'd be like, you got something to wear? And I'm like, I ain't worried about that right now. I'll figure that out later because I know I got some pieces. So it kind of varies.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real. How important is the shoe game? Because women always talk about how important, girl, I seen his shoes, and because some women even live by that. They're like, if his shoes raggedy, then he probably stank or something. I don't know. But
so I think for me, I think shoes are important. Being African American man, or even younger guys, that's just how we built. We built to know, our shoes are important. But I mean, I think they're important, but I think it's important to the level where you have to buy like high quality shoes. But some in some situations you can kind of go cheap. Like if you're going for some gym shoes, you're going for something more casual, and sometimes you could kind of scale down, not spend a lot of money. But in some situations, like if you get some dress shoes or some boots or something like that, you want something that's going to last you for a long period of time. And a lot of guys don't really consider that what you can do with shoes. Because for example, I could buy like a pair of Stacey Adams shoes, which African American community, we love Stacey Adams because they look nice. They always trendy. They make nice looking shoes, but no knock to them, but sometimes their shoes aren't the best, like as far as being able to keep them for a long period of time. So they're priced in that way sometimes. Like, okay, I'm gonna wear these shoes for like a year and then I'm gonna have to give me some new ones. But some shoes are made to where, okay, the sole is busted. I could take this to a shoe store and they can add another sole to it, and then I'm back, I'm rolling again. So but those shoes they cost a little bit more money. So it kind of depends. Like with some shoes, I think you should invest. I'm not saying like it's an investment like a house or the stock market or anything, but I'm just saying like when you have pieces that cost you a little bit more money, they might last you a longer period of time. So like if you for example, I have a pair of shoes made by Beckett Seminon, which is a small dress shoe company. They make your basic shoes, but they make them very well. They're high quality leather. They're not too expensive at all. And they make very great quality shoes, but they have a Blake stitching, which means like if I mess up the soles, I can go to a shoe store and I like a cobbler, like somebody that fixes shoes and leather bags and stuff like that. I could take it to that store and they can resole them, and then I'm back to normal. So that's a good brand to check out. They're called Beckett Seminar if you're interested. But yeah, a lot of brands make good shoes, but you gotta be careful. But then sometimes we spend like $500, $600 on shoes, and some people can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people, miss out on that rent payment because they trying to get the new J's. That's not a good look. But sometimes you could find a nicer sneaker that might be like $70, $80. You can still get the same look.
Yeah.
I think it's important. The care of your shoe is the most important. So make sure they're clean and up to date. Not up to date, but mainly clean and smelling good, and you in good shape.
Yeah, I agree. Because I remember growing up, man, and my sister probably could tell you this, but we had one pair of shoes that we got to last us for the whole school year. So we was keeping them boys clean. I guess I'm telling my age, we had the old toothbrush and be scraping the side of the shoe, making sure that boy stay white, trying to keep them shoes for the whole school year. So my wife bought me some, she bought me some LeBrons or something. I kid you not, Steve. I think she bought these shoes for me like 4 years ago. They still look good. I'm just careful with the shoes that I wear. So even on top of the shoes I have a lot of shoes because I just take care of what I have.
Right. That's how all of y'all are. All your siblings is like that. I know my wife is like that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, my friends are all pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Your stuff, man.
By the grace of God. Before I let you go, man, can you tell me about the soap company? Can you because I thought that was like one of the most gangster moves I ever seen.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the soap.
Yeah, so I decided to start a soap company, mainly to offer my followers. I wanted something that everybody could afford. I didn't want to have a product where you had to think twice before you get it. Like, oh, I don't want to spend like $300 on a jacket or a suit or whatever. I'd rather, I don't have that kind of money, but I'll spend $7-8 on a bar of soap because it's a necessity. But at the same time, a lot of guys use soap that you get from the pharmacies and department stores like Dove, Old Spice. I like those soaps too, but the only problem with those soaps is that they have cancerous chemicals in it. So the soap that I make is handmade soap. I make it myself. Has all the ingredients. You could pronounce the names of them. It's not like you got to have a chemistry or a PhD to pronounce the names. So I got soaps that's made out of coconut oil, olive oil, castor oil, a lot of different oils, and then they have a fragrance. And the only chemical you might see is like maybe mica, which gives it its color, but it's not really much of that used at all. So yeah, I think they're awesome. I got like 5 that's ready to go. They smell really good. They don't dry you out. It doesn't have you breaking out a rash or anything like that. So some of those body washes we use, they can be irritating. Like I use a body wash and I noticed like I come home and I'll be itching after going to work and stuff like that. And so I stopped using it and it stopped. So that's, this soap is great for people with sensitive skin, people that, you just don't want to use those chemicals on your body. You just want to use something that's natural or close to natural. Yeah. So
yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I did it. And I'm enjoying it. I enjoy making my soaps, and I'm always thinking of, different things. Like I just bought some stuff today and I was excited because I'm ready to make some more. So yeah, I'm really happy about it. So I got a website right now that's selling some of them. It's going pretty well, but when you start a new business, a lot of your family and friends support it. I'm thankful for that, but I'm trying to get other people to support as well. So
of course,
I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Well, I want all the Bravehearts community to make sure that you reach out and get some of this soap because I believe in supporting each other. Of course, we family, but overall, being the brother and helping you get your stuff off the ground, man. So Bravehearts community, make sure you support that. I want to make sure that you give your information before I let you go because I gotta order some more and then use my soap. I figure I can use mine in my OnlyFans video, so I could be using it in my OnlyFans. I'm tripping. I do not have an OnlyFans. I'm tripping. I'm just messing with y'all. Y'all be Googling. Oh, Sean got an OnlyFans page. Let me see that. Oh, and he using also Dapper soap. Anyway, thanks again, Steve, man. I appreciate you and your time, man. Thanks for being a fashion icon. I appreciate everything that you do, man. Thanks for being a dope dad, a dope father. You know, take care of my sister and family, man. I appreciate everything that you do. So yeah, y'all go check Steve out. Steve, give us all your information, your socials and all that other stuff. Not just your security number, but your socials.
Right.
So the
So,
Bravehearts can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I have a Instagram and YouTube, so you can follow me at the Dapper Aristocrat on IG and Dapper Aristocrat on YouTube, where I give a lot of tips on style and fashion. And soap company is the website is osodappersoap.com. So check them out. Also have an Instagram for that as well. It's also Dapper Soap. If you want to check out the Instagram, it's kind of new, but I'm still working on adding more content to it. But yeah, that's where you can follow me.
For sure.